presents the AAA High School Football Game of the Week. Tonight it's Skyline Region action featuring the Broncos of Brophy Prep against the Matadors of Shadow Mountain High School. Victory Stadium on the campus of Shadow Mountain High School, where tonight it's the Broncos of Brophy Prep, who just a week ago suffered their only loss of the campaign against St. Mary's, taking on the Matadors of Shadow Mountain High School. Hello again, everybody. George Allen, joined by Doug Gerlach. Skyline Region football tonight. Brophy trying to bounce back from that setback a week ago at the hands of St. Mary's, and they will take on the Shadow Mountain team, which has really been an up-and-down football team all season long. Joined again by Doug Gerlach. You got to wonder, if, number one, if Brophy can come back. It was a tough loss a week ago, and tonight they go against a team they really should beat. But Shadow Mountain seems to have risen to the occasion when they played the better teams.
That's right. That has been the pattern of the Matadors this year. They have played good competitive football against tough teams. Gave St. Mary's, second-ranked team in the state, a very tough go of things, as they did last year against the St. Mary's team. So they do seem to play very well against good quality opponents, and then for some reason have their letdowns. Brophy, on the other hand, I don't think it'll be too much of a problem bouncing back. They did have a tough battle against St. Mary's, but they know that they are headed for the playoffs, and they know they are a good football team, have a high ranking to preserve, and that's incentive enough.
Brophy, of course, has to look ahead to next week when they have another tough game against the Demons of Greenway High School, and both these ball clubs should be up for this one tonight because of seeding purposes, if nothing else, as we get down to the final stages of the campaign. Brophy with one league loss. Shadow Mountains dropped a couple in league play. The Matadors, coached by Dick McKiffergan, who comes into this football game knowing he has got to try and post a victory some way over this Brophy football team. But a tough year for Dick and this Matador football team. We mentioned they've beaten some teams. They played very well, like Doug pointed out against St. Mary's. Other teams that maybe you thought they should have beaten, they could not get themselves up for the game and came away losers. And earlier tonight we visited with Coach McKiffergan and asked him if he could pinpoint anything as to why his team is up one week and down the next.
I don't think there's any real reason, except we seem to play extremely well or well against a ranked or a tougher ball club, and it seems like we lose concentration on a lesser a team. But I don't have anything physically. We've just haven't performed well in some games.
You play a very tough Brophy team tonight, one that's ranked very high in the state. What's it going to take to beat them tonight?
We have to stop their quarterback. This young man is as good as probably anybody that we've seen this year, and their total team defense is, we have to run the football as we've done in the previous games. This year our running game has helped our passing game, so hopefully that can happen. In the past it's been passing first.
Head coach Dick McKiffergan of the Matadors of Shadow Mountain High School. You heard him mention hopefully his running game will help his passing game. They've got the running game in pretty capable hands. O.A. Kinney, the quarterback, likes to run the football. As a matter of fact, we have two running quarterbacks tonight, both with Daco and Kinney.
And it has a big offensive line behind which to run. Matadors will come into tonight's ball game with a size advantage over Brophy. Not much, but still a size advantage nevertheless. In fact, across that front line on the offensive line, they start 5 interior linemen who are above 200 pounds.
O.A. Kinney, of course, will guide the attack. He has rushed for almost 250 yards this year. He can throw the football when called upon as well. It'll be the responsibility of Kinney to try and guide this offense. No turnovers, certainly, against his Brophy football team. Brophy, on the other hand, is a football team that has just simply blown people away this year, with the exception of St. Mary's, a high-powered offense. But then again, Padaco is a quarterback that likes to run. He's run for 6 touchdowns.
Good offense as far as Brophy Ball Club is concerned. In fact, in league play, the Broncos are 3rd in scoring, and by contrast, Shadow Mountain comes into tonight's ball game 7th in the league in scoring.
Tim Sanford, the head coach of the Broncos of Brophy Prep, he took over for Mickey Ryan some years ago when the program was a bit in a floundering situation. He's turned it around. They got all the way to the state semifinals a year ago, where they finally were beaten by Dobson, and they're right back at it again this year, coming to this one with a mark of 5-1. And earlier tonight we had a chance to visit with Tim Sanford, and we asked him that after the loss to St. Mary's last week, which was a tough one for this Bronco football team, how about bouncing back this week against Shadow Mountain? Would it be tough for them to get up?
I don't think so. The kids understand what our main objective is this year, is to get to the playoffs, and they understand that to get to the playoffs we need to win this game, so I'm sure we're going to be up for it.
How do you defend this team like Shadow Mountain? It seems like they're up one week, down the next. It's like you never know what to expect.
Well, you know, they're a big physical team, and the only way to defend them is try to stop their run. They've run the ball very well against almost every team they've played. and that's our main objective.
What'll be your offensive game plan coming into this one tonight?
Well, we want to, mix it up as much as we can. They're a little bigger than we are up front, so we feel we're going to have to throw a little bit more maybe than usual, but hopefully our quickness will help us.
Hey, Coach, Tim Sanford of the Broncos of Brophy Prep. They have a big game we talked about next week with Greenway. The Demons, another team ranked in the top 10 with only one league loss. So you've kind of got a game tonight with Shadow Mountain sandwiched between two very big games for Brophy.
That can be a problem, but again, I don't think it's going to affect the Broncos. I expect them to come out and play the kind of quality football that they have played all year. Tim Sanford mentioned their ground game, or stopping Shadow Mountain's ground game. I really think the key to watching tonight's football game is how the Brophy defense is able to defense against Shadow Mountain, because that Brophy defense is second in the league in scoring defense. They have, in 3 games this year, 3 of their 6 games, held their opponents to under 55 yards rushing. And we heard McGiffergan say that their ground game has really set up their passing game. So if the Brophy defense shuts down that ground game of Shadow Mountain, it could be a long night for the Matadors.
Well, the Matadors, after tonight, to give you an example of what lies ahead for them, they still have Greenway and Moon Valley on their schedule, 2 very tough games. Meanwhile, Brophy, after tonight, they meet Greenway next week. They've already played Moon Valley. They've already played St. Mary's. So these 2 teams still with some very big games ahead. But for tonight, it's the Matadors of Shadow Mountain against the Broncos of Brophy Prep from here at Victory Stadium on the campus of Shadow Mountain. And we're glad you're with us on ASPN. We'll come back, we'll tee it up and get it underway. The Matadors and the Broncos after this timeout.
Coming to you at the Arizona State Fair. The world's best rider: Gator, Miller, Phillips, Staub, Johnson, Leither, Wilkerson, Hoffman, and Scott.
It's the greatest in the world, truthfully.
See an aerial attack with death-defying maneuvers on an awesome 20-ton steel ram. Giant video and 200,000 watts of lights and sound. Coming Monday, October 24th at 7 p.m. at the Arizona State Fair. Seating on an as-available basis.
Well, the show is really great.
Swatch gives you more than the time of day.
Hi, I'm Tex Schramm. For 11 years, I've enjoyed doing the Dallas Cowboys Weekly, a very special television show. We take you behind the scenes, letting you know inside information. And what would our show be without the cheerleader? Only on Dallas Cowboys Weekly, and only here on Dimension Cable, Phoenix.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Big Tex, Big Bill's little cousin, and this here's my son, Billy Joe Bob. And we're here to tell you that Big Bill's got wheels. Lots of wheels. Custom wheels for cars, trucks, man. Dang near everything. Ain't that right, son? Good-looking boy, isn't he? Why, I've never seen so many wheels in one place, and they're all right here at Big Bill's Deals Wheels. Tell them about it, Billy Joe Bob. The boy's smart, isn't he? Come on now to Big Bill's Deals Wheels to see me, Big Tex, my cousin Big Bill, or my son, Billy Joe Bob. And I guarantee you this ain't no bill.
Big Bill's Deals and Wheels.
American Sports Cavalcade provides the most in-depth coverage of motorsports action on television. TNT monster trucks, motorcycles, NHRA dragsters. There's exciting, explosive, non-stop action every Sunday on American Sports Cavalcade.
Something for all of you.
Catch the excitement of American Sports Cavalcade every Sunday on TNN.
Victory Stadium on the campus of Shadow Mountain. George Allen along with Doug Gerlach as tonight's Shadow Mountain entertains the Broncos of Brophy Prep. Little background on these 2 football teams and what they've done so far this year. Shadow Mountain comes into the ball game even up at 3-3. They dropped the season opener to Dobson 24-0, rebounded by blanking Apollo the second week of the campaign 34-0, dropped a 30-3 decision on the road to Paradise Valley, turned around and beat Deer Valley on the road 28-7. Lost to St. Mary's in a 28-10 game that was really a little bit closer than that score indicates. And then last week bounced back to beat Thunderbird 24-11. So Shadow Mountain 3-3 on the season overall. They are 3-2 in league play. Meanwhile, Brophy opened up on the road over at Tempe with a 31-7 win over the Buffaloes. Knocked off Moon Valley in week number 2, 26-7, followed with a 31-0 whitewashing over Apollo. Made it 4 in a row with a win over Paradise Valley, 41-13. made it 5-0 with a win over Deer Valley 13-7 before dropping their only game of the season last week at Phoenix College to St. Mary's 20-14. That was a game that saw the Broncos lead 14-12 at the half. Upcoming games for this football team: Shadow Mountain following this one tonight. They'll go on the road, meet Moon Valley next week, come home for the final two against Horizon and Greenway, while Brophy, after this one tonight, has a couple of home games against Greenway and Thunderbird, and will close out on the road against the Huskies of Horizon High School. In addition to both of these offensive attacks, which can put points on the board, they both have pretty good field goal kickers as well. Gary Basquet for Shadow Mountain has kicked 4 field goals this year, 2 in one game against Apollo. He had a 48-yarder against St. Mary's and kicked a 45-yarder against Thunderbird. Meanwhile, Anthony Curry for Brophy High School has had a 27-yarder this year. He kicked 2 in one game against Moon Valley and also had a field goal against Apollo. So if it gets down to a point where they have to call on field goal kickers tonight, both of these teams are pretty well fortified with good field goal kickers. Brophy won last year's game 30-20. As a matter of fact, Brophy's won the last 3 meetings between these football teams. In 1985, Brophy beat Shadow 17-10. In 86 was Brophy with a 16-13 win over Shadow Mountain. And last year, Brophy won by 10, 30-20. So some pretty competitive football games as you see Shadow Mountain come on the field here tonight at Victory Stadium. We might mention that the area of the field where you see Shadow Mountain right there, there is a light stanchion out down at that end of the field. So if play does get down to that area of the field, you may see some darkness on your screen because of the lighting problems over here with that one particular light stanchion. We head out to midfield for the flip of the coin to see who will kick off, who will receive. Brophy's Broncos. Potent offense this year, paced by quarterback Troy Hidako, who has accounted for 10 touchdowns this year. He's rushed for 6. He has thrown for 4 more. And he's no stranger to rushing for 100 yards. He did that with a couple of touchdowns against Tempe. And he also had some other good football games as well. Here's the flip of the coin by Bob Seatsema.
He called a tail, and it's a head. You've won the toss. What's the ball? You want to receive. Which goal do you want to defend? Defend this goal. All right, I want white over here. I want blue right here. The blue team wins. They'll receive. Good luck to both teams. Have a good, clean football game. No talking across the line.
So Shadow Mountain will get their hands on the football first here tonight. And Brophy will do the kicking off. So right away we'll get a look at O.A. Kinney, the fine quarterback for Shadow Mountain High School. We might mention also Dick McKiffergan likes to shuttle in his wide receivers with plays from the bench. We have 2 good running backs tonight. One, Chris Woolery for Brophy, who's accounted for a lot of yardage this year. He wears number 29. On the other side of the football, also wearing number 29, is Sean Gregg, and he, too, is an excellent runner.
Gregg has picked up 587 yards this year on the ground, averaging 5.7 yards a carry. Woolery has had some outstanding ball games. He gained more than 100 yards against Tempe and just under 100 yards, 99 against Apollo. So 2 good runners, as you say, George. And again, Shadow Mountain, if the strength of that offense seems to be the ground game, and Gregg is the man to stop if you're on the Brophy side of the line.
So we'll wait and see what Dick McKiffergan has up his sleeve tonight. You heard him say in the pregame comments that the running game sets up the passing very well. And talking to him earlier in the week, he said we really haven't thrown the football very much because of the fine running ability of Gregg and his quarterback, O.A. Kinney. Also, we'll see Barry McBann do some running in the backfield tonight for Shadow Mountain. And we mentioned all the receivers that Shadow Mountain likes to shuttle in as far as carrying plays. A good tight end in Rick Verbalitis as well. And for the Broncos of Brophy Prep, as you see them preparing to take the field here tonight, they have several good running backs, not only Mike Woolery, or Chris Woolery, who we talked about, but also Mike Cornelia, who is both a good offensive and defensive back. He had an earlier game this year, Cornelia, where he returned an interception, 38 yards for a touchdown in the win over Paradise Valley. And Cornelia also had a couple of touchdowns in the win over Moon Valley this year. He scored 3 touchdowns on the year. But also Eric Milo, we'll see him at a running back tonight. And also the wingback, Brian Leonard, he will alternate with Jim Pack as well. You got to look at Craig Anderson, the athletic director here at Shadow Mountain, who is the defensive coach for this Matador football team. So we're about set to get things underway. And dropping back, Greg Quinn for Shadow Mountain. He'll be one of the people back standing to receive the kick. And he'll be joined back there by Gary Wolf. And handling the kicking chores for the Broncos of Brophy Prep, it looks like Jim Pack will do the kicking off. Matter of fact, head coach Tim Sanford uses a couple of place kickers. Anthony Curry will handle the field goals and the point after touchdowns, while Pack will do the kicking off for the Broncos of Brophy. So the resurgence of the Broncos is here. The last couple of years, Sanford has really done an excellent job with this football team. We mentioned a year ago they raised a lot of eyebrows by making it all the way to the state semis before finally losing to Dobson. And before Sanford took over, the Brophy program had been on a downward slide, but not anymore, as they feel ready to challenge the likes of St. Mary's and Moon Valley and Greenway in this Skyline region. And the Matadors would like nothing better than to spring an upset here tonight over their rival, the Broncos of Brophy Prep. Big game for both teams. Shadow Mountain can ill afford another league loss. And Brophy certainly hoping they've lost their last game of the year last week to St. Mary's. 2 years in a row now they've played St. Mary's, only to lead at halftime but to lose in the second half. New football game this week, and we're about set to get it underway on ASPN. And we're glad you're with us as Jim Pack gets set to kick off. And again back deep, Gary Wolf along with Greg Quinn. Crowd comes to their feet. Pack approaches the football and hits an up man and bounces down the field and is finally downed at about the 21-yard line. So a short kick that hit one of the upbacks. Looked like maybe Barry McBann fell on that football for Shadow Mountain, or Matt Evans, who was down there. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Matadors. O.A. Kinney guides the attack. He has rushed, remember, for 240 yards or so this particular year. And again, Sean Gregg, a fine running back, will run out of the tailback spot. Sometimes they'll run out of an I, sometimes out of the split back formation.
George, we mentioned at the start of the ball game the size of Shadow Mountain's interior line. Everybody in that interior line for the Matadors who starts tonight is 220 or better.
Fake the handoff, and Kinney will put it in the air right off the bat. He overshoots the intended receiver, Gary Wolf.
And he had his tight end, Verbalitis, wide open at the 35-yard line. If he had seen him and completed the pass, it would have been 6 points in the first play of the ball game. He was wide open.
So Wolf, the flanker, who caught a 53-yard touchdown pass in the win over Apollo, the offensive line for the Matadors, and it's a good-sized offensive line as well as you take a look at it. They go with Verbalitis, you mentioned the good tight end, Bobby Adams, the leading receiver, with Kinney, McBann, Wolf, and Gregg in that backfield. 2nd down, 10 to go. Kinney runs the option, keeps, kicks free from a couple of tacklers, and wrestles his way all the way up near the 30-yard line before he's finally dropped. From the secondary, Brian Leonard up to make the stop for Brophy, but not before a good gain by Kinney. So he got about 9 on that carry. Appeared to be stopped as you look at the defense for Brophy. The front wall, Rakers, Woolery, Chavez, and Archambault. Linebacking trio of Carson, Ross, and Hoblet. And the secondary, Vercotterin, Leonard, Cornelia, and Paulson. It's 3rd and a yard for the Matadors. And one of the players for Brophy, it looked like the defensive tackle, Tyrone Chavez, jumped. And if he was not drawn offside, that's going to be a 1st down for the Matadors, and that's what it is.
Ball, encroachment.
No chance to get back in high school football. Even though no contact was made, it's still a 5-yard penalty, and the Matadors have their first down of the night.
Ball control going to be a big factor in this game for Shadow Mountain, and try and keep it away from Hidako in that potent Brophy offense. So they've got their first down of the night, and the ball's out to the 34-yard line. And the ball off to Barry McBann, the big fullback, and he drives ahead for a couple as he works his way out over the 35. And again, Chavez, the big defensive tackle at 6'3", 235, makes the stop for Brophy. Just underway from here at Shadow Mountain High School. 10 minutes, 25 seconds to go first quarter. Shadow Mountain receiving the opening kickoff, gained their initial 1st down on a 5-yard offside penalty against Brophy. And now have the football with a 2nd down, 7 to go. So McBann got 3 on the last play. Kinney hands the ball off, and a lot of running room. And out over the midfield stripe into Brophy territory goes Sean Gregg. And finally, Cornelia spills him from the secondary, but a big gain for Sean Gregg. Great run this time by Gregg, and good blocking on the left-hand side. Kick free from the would-be tackle of Archambault, and finally Cornelia wrestled him down. Gregg almost 600 yards rushing on the year. Big game last week against Thunderbird when he ran for 172 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. Ball on the Brophy 46. Barry McBann gets a couple down to the 44. Wrestled down by the linebacker Noel Hoblet. 2nd down coming up. Shadow Mountain Boy, it's a great setting for football over here. You got the mountains surrounding this school and a nice facility. 9:15 to go. First period. Shadow Mountain on the move after they took the opening kickoff at their own 21, and they moved it down to the Brophy 44. Driving with the football is Sean Gregg. And Gregg is down shy of the 40-yard line. Linebacker Craig Ross made the tackle for the Broncos.
Well, a couple of plays there by the Matadors, just using their size, firing straight out at the Brophy defensive line. And there is a size advantage on defense for the Broncos. Only 2 men over 200 pounds on the front line. And one of those, Garson, the middle guard, is just 205. So it is a decided size advantage for the Matadors. And right now they're just trying to blow the Broncos away.
3rd and 4 from the Bronco 41. And Kinney will put it in the air. He can run as he rolls out. Fakes the pass, and he drives all the way to the 30. First down for the Matadors. He is dangerous on that type of play. If you do not contain him to the outside, he'll kill you on the run. And finally, Ross had to wrestle him down from the linebacking spot.
The difference between getting a first down on that play and not getting one is number 35, McBann. Watch him in this play. He throws a block, keeps his man occupied downfield. Right there. And it is finally Ross who does make the tackle, but not before McBann had him tied up to allow Kinney to pick up the first down.
So O.A. Kinney, an outstanding runner, shows us why there. And there's a jump offside by the offensive right tackle, Matt Evans. And that's going to set the Matadors back 5 yards. So they've taken the football from their own 21.
False start, offense.
And they've moved it now to the 34-yard line of the Brophy Broncos. Brophy in the win over Tempe ran for 178 yards, and their defense against the run this year has been tough. But Shadow Mountain's been able to solve it here, at least temporarily, on this first drive. There goes Gregg again, and Gregg, big yardage. He's inside the 25. They put it down right at about the 25. Boy, he's a good-looking runner, Sean Gregg.
And what a terrific block thrown by number 53, Benji Cohen, on the interior line for Shadow Mountain. Just stood his man up and turned him around, and Gregg slid right by him. Watch right here, 53 pulling. That's Cohen, and there goes Gregg right behind him.
So Dick McKiffergan continues to shuttle in the plays with the wide receivers in there now, flanking out far to the far side of the field. Dan Allen wears number 19 on his blue and gold Matador uniform. Second man through is Gregg, and Gregg drives down to about the 22, where it'll bring up a 3rd down and short. Matadors have eaten up a lot of clock on this first drive. In about another 50 seconds, we'll be at the halfway mark of the first quarter. And so far, Gregg, 4 carries, 32 yards already in the football game. He's over the 600-yard mark now for the season.
But as far as, I'm sorry, George, as far as Shadow Mountain's concerned, we are in field goal range right now.
No question about that. They've got a good kicker in Gary Basquet, who has kicked 4 this year, and from some pretty good distances. But they want 7. Kinney lost his footing temporarily and was wrestled down by Eric Vercotteren from the secondary, 6-foot senior. And so it's 4th down, and here comes the field goal unit.
It's a bad decision by Kinney, because if he pitches the ball right here, Gregg is all alone on the outside. And Kinney apparently thought the Vercotteren was going to go with Gregg, and he was going to cut inside, but that's not what happened. If the pitch had been made, it may have been 6.
So Basquet to try a field goal. He's kicked them from 23, 40, 48, and 45 yards this year. This will be a 38-yard attempt. It's got enough distance on the way, and it is good. Gary Basquet from 38 yards gives the Matadors the early lead in this one, 3-0. We told you ahead of time, a couple of guys who can really kick the football, and Basquet showed it there.
Pretty impressive drive, almost 6.5 minutes for the Matadors.
And they jumped to the early lead by a score of 3-0. So some excellent running by Sean Gregg. O.A. Kinney mixed it up. He had a good long run himself in that drive, and here's the kick. And nothing wrong with this one, as it's true to the mark.
You couldn't see it on our shot from the end zone there, but the upright on the right side is bent.
Yes, it is. So now Shadow Mountain will kick it off. As you look at Basquet, who just kicked that 38-yarder. And Brophy will get their hands on the football for the first time tonight. Handling the kickoff returns, Matt Watkins and Mike Cornelia, who are back deep at about their own 5-yard line. 3-0 Matadors. Great Friday night for football. The weather just ideal. What a change in a week. It was last Friday when the valley was inundated with rain. And tonight just a gorgeous night for football. And this kick goes out of bounds at about the 22 or 23-yard line. So Basquet may be electing not to kick it off to either one of the two dangerous run-back men, Cornelia or Watkins. And so they'll bring it back. Brophy in the loss to St. Mary's last week, surprisingly with the poor weather conditions that plagued everybody last week, not a turnover in the football game last week at Hoy Field at Phoenix College. And a heck of a game before a crowd of about 9,000. And St. Mary's wins again. That was about 10 straight years now they've beaten Brophy. And the last 2 years have been pretty identical. Brophy leading at the half, only to see the Knights come back to grab victory away in the second half. But we've seen St. Mary's do that so many times, it's not really unusual. But in talking to some of the coaches for Brophy before the game, namely Trevor Stinson, says it's getting to be an old story and a tiresome one. But here Shadow breaks to the early lead, 3-0 on Basquet's field goal. He'll now kick it off from his own 35-yard line. And the Broncos will get their first opportunity on offense to see what they can do. Short kick rolls down and is picked up by Cornelia. And Cornelia fights his way out over the 25 to about the 26-yard line, where the Broncos go to work 1st and 10. That scoring drive, 13 plays in that drive for Shadow Mountain, and they consumed over 6 minutes of clock. A good offensive front for Brophy with Hoblet, Chavez, Phoenix, Rush, and Garson up front. And Yurk, the tight end, Schaefer, the split end, with Hudako, the guy to keep your eye on, Baloud, Milo, and Leonard in that backfield. Hudako likes to run with the football. Leonard, the wingback. Hudako throws out. It is complete to Schaefer, his wide receiver, and Schaefer is out over the 35 to the 37-yard line. So they come out throwing right off the bat.
Both coaches come out throwing tonight. We expected them to stay mostly on the ground, but yet they go to the air first time around.
We're going to have to check and find out. Number 10 is Cody Martin for the Broncos. Number 7 is Troy Hudako. Well, number 10 is in there right now, quarterbacking. And we did not get any injury report on Hudako before the football game. And I'm trying to peer the sidelines to see if I can find Troy over there. And we'll try and find out if we can get an injury report as to why he's not in there. But it appears that Cody Martin is running the attack, and this one's close to a first down. So they stretch the chains, and it's a first down. As you look at the defensive backs for Shadow, along with the rest of their defensive football team, and they'll be put to a severe test tonight against a very talented Brophy football team.
George, unless they decided to switch jerseys over there, number 7, which is Hudako's jersey, he is on the sideline.
So here we go. Brophy with the football. 1st and 10 after the initial pass completion of the football game to Derek Schaefer. Ball at the 37-yard line, their own 37. Brophy with it. Hand the ball off. First man through, and not very much running room. Maybe a gain of 1 or 2 on the play. Not much more than that. As running the football from the fullback spot was Brett Baloud. Baloud had one of the touchdowns last week against St. Mary's, and he had 2 touchdown runs in the win over Paradise Valley. Second down coming up. 9 to go. They give Baloud 1 on that last carry. Broncos to put it in the air, and it's complete to Schaefer, but coming up quickly from the secondary was Bob Stevenson to make the tackle.
Good play by Stevenson. If he doesn't make the tackle, there's nobody out there to stop the receiver.
Here it is again, and you're right, he's just one-on-one coverage. If he gets away from Stevenson, he's got a lot of running room.
And a split second earlier, he bats the ball away.
Third down, 5 to go for the Broncos. Ball at the 42. Deep draw play to Ballard. He kicks free from one tackler and is stood up and knocked back shy of a first down at the 45-yard line. And a good hit by making the tackle in there was Rob Perugine. Perugine, 6'3", 215, a senior. Look at that front defensive line for Shadow. 230, 220, 220, and 215. So real good size.
Middle linebacker at 220.
The two guards in the center for Brophy, the starters, go 235, 205, and 195. So the Broncos stopped, and they'll be forced to punt the football away. Christopher Carterin will punt, and they fake the punt, and a first down is had as they move over Shadow territory to the 47-yard line as making the run Craig Ross.
Craig Ross was the up back. The ball was snapped directly to him, and he was through the line easily to pick up the first down.
So a little razzle-dazzle early in the game. Watch it again. And look at the big hole.
Well, the proverbial truck could have gone right through that one.
First and 10, ball at the 48 of Shadow Mountain. 3 minutes to go first period. 3-0 Matadors on top. But the Broncos fake a punt and get the first down here. Pump fake. And they're going long, and they have a man wide open. It's complete. And this one is going to go down to about the 1-foot line. On the receiving end was Casey Paulson. 42 yards, 47 yards on the pass play. To Casey Paulson.
Well, nothing fancy about it, George. He was out there all alone and just ran by his man.
There was the pump fake, and now he goes long, and he's 5 yards clear at this point. You see him there. Paulson, who had a 32-yard touchdown pass in the win over Apollo, is finally dragged down. Not Stevenson, Paulson. Right near the goal line. First and goal. Hand the ball off, and it's a touchdown, Brophy. Touchdown for Brophy. Let's see if that was Milo that carried it in. As we mentioned, when play gets down to that end of the field, it's tough to pick up numbers because the light stanchion is out down at that side. You see the darkness down at that side of the field. Nevertheless, Brophy scores and takes the lead 6-3 with the point up coming. A little under 2.5 minutes to go first period. And the try coming up for extra point now. Anthony Curry. Kick is on the way. And it is good. So Curry converts. And as they head back up the field, there's timeout on the field. 2:24 to go opening period. Broncos lead 7-3. So the fake punt and the run, then the long pass to Paulson set up the touchdown. And here it is again. And a big hole opened up on that right side, and it was Eric Milo that carried it in for the score.
And a couple of blocks thrown in there. One by 61, Tom Rush, and 97, Chad Urich. Also for the Broncos are the men who got him through the hole.
I don't know if that's Hidako or whether it's Martin, but he was perfect on that scoring drive. 3 for 3 on the drive for 62 yards.
Well, whoever it was, you got to believe he's going to stay around for at least one more possession.
That's for sure. Jim Pack with the kickoff. Comes down, taken by the up man. Barry McBann, and McBann's out to the 35-yard line before he's wrestled down by Brian Leonard. So it'll be first and 10 for Shadow Mountain from their own 35. After they march down and kick the field goal for 3, Brophy comes right back and scores the touchdown.
Has to be a bit demoralizing for the Matadors. They held onto the ball almost to 6.5 minutes. They worked very hard, kept the ball for 13 plays, came away with only 3 points, and then just a couple minutes later, they're behind.
So here come the Matadors for the offensive attack. Bobby Adams comes wide to the near side of the field. Kinney, the quarterback. Hand the ball off to Sean Gregg, and Gregg fights for good yardage. He got about 7 out to about the 42. Finally brought down. Good-looking running back, Sean Gregg. scored 2 touchdowns against Deer Valley. And as we mentioned, he's had an outstanding year with now over 600 yards rushing on the campaign. He's averaging just a shade under 100 yards a game coming into this one tonight. There's the scoring drive. Milo getting the touchdown on a 73-yard drive. And the big play was the big 47-yard pass play to Casey Paulson to set it up. Again, here comes Greg. Boy, what good blocking on that right side.
Really is, George. And if that can continue all night long, they're going to wear down Brophy and just move them off the line continually.
So Greg gets a first down on the carry. He's out to midfield with 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the first period. 7-3 Broncos. Watch it again and look at the blocking on that right side. Greg just finds the hole.
53 we've mentioned before. That's Benji Cohen for the Matadors, and 75 Matt Evans also in there.
Chris Woolery finally made the tackle. 46 yards already in the football game for Greg. And this is McBann. And McBann up the middle fights his way for a few yards down to about the 47 of the Broncos. In on the tackle, Jim Archambault along with the linebacker Craig Ross. Next week will be at Chandler High School for the game between the Wolves of Chandler, the Warriors of Westwood. Game a week ago, Chandler fumbled the ball 12 or 13 times, lost half of them to Mountain View and came away losers. Delvin Schutt's team still looking for their first win this year. Kinney to put it in the air, and he's going to air it out and go for it all, and he's got it, man. He's got it inside the 10. Great catch by Greg Quinn, and Kinney put that one right on the numbers.
Now, I tell you what, George, number 11, Casey Paulson for Brophy, had it played perfectly. He couldn't have defended it any better. It took a perfect throw to beat him and a perfect catch, and that's exactly what the Matadors delivered.
40
a sensational
yards.
Play.
Here it is again, and watch Kinney just air this one out, and a great catch here by Quinn. That's good defense. That's just a well-thrown ball.
The Broncos had all the receivers in the pattern covering well, and when the ball was in the air, I thought that there was no chance at all it would be pulled off.
It is first and goal from about the 8-yard line. It's a touchdown for the Matadors. Gary Wolf carries it in. The final play of the first quarter is a touchdown for the Matadors, and they jump to the lead 9-7.
Good effort by the Matadors, falling behind after taking the lead and coming right back, and they've sent a message right here in the first quarter to the Broncos that they are here to play.
So Wolf gets the touchdown, his second of the year. And Basquet to try the point after, to try and make it a 10-7 ball game. That was the final play of the quarter. We might be in for a wild one here tonight. Here's the kick by Basquet. It's on the way, and it is good. That's the end of the first quarter here at Shadow Mountain High School. Our score, the Matadors of Shadow Mountain 10, the Broncos of Brophy 7. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bo Schembecker.
And I'm Jim Brandstetter. Bo and I would like you to join us again this year for Michigan Replay.
The Big Ten will be as tough as I've ever seen it. But we will contend for the title, and you can come along with us each week on Michigan Replay.
With Notre Dame and defending national champ Miami on the non-conference schedule, the Wolverines will be tested early, and we'll have the inside story on each game each week.
So join us and get the inside story on Michigan football on Michigan Replay.
Hello, everybody. I'm Carl Foster. Join me each week for Inside World Tennis, the weekly fast-paced magazine talk show all about the world of tennis, both on and off the court. Improve your game from our instructional staff, Spike Gurney, Master Professional, Wendy Turnbull, Touring Pro, and Dr. Jack Groffel. Behind-the-scenes features from the local amateur and professional tournaments, as well as equipment insights, tennis fashions, a USPTA and Junior Player of the Week. It's all to come each week on Inside World Tennis. Don't miss it.
Ready for the kickoff to start the second period. 10-7. Shadow Mountain leads it. Gary Wolf's touchdown giving the Matadors the lead on an excellent drive after Brophy had driven to take the lead 7-3. So we've been back and forth in this one. Short kick by Shadow, and again, this one is going to roll out of bounds down around the 31 or 21-yard line. Well, we're looking across the field, and we do see number 7 for Brophy, which is Troy Hidako, so we're going to assume that Cody Martin engineered that last scoring drive for the Broncos. Total offense in the football game so far, Brophy 73 yards and Shadow Mountain 122 yards. Saw the last score there by Wolf.
We mentioned at the start of the game that Brophy comes into this evening's ball game second in the league in scoring defense. Broncos had given up on the average coming into this ball game 9 points a game. Guess what?
That's right, they've already given up 10 here in the ball game. There's Hidako, number 7. And again, we didn't hear anything from Tim Sanford as to why he would not start or play, but we saw Cody Martin on the initial series, and nothing wrong with Martin the way he quarterbacked. He was 3 for 3 on the first drive for 62 yards in guiding the Broncos down the field for a 73-yard scoring drive. But Shadow Mountain bounced right back with Gary Wolf's touchdown, giving the Matadors the lead right back. Kick again. This is Mike Cornelia. And Cornelia finds some running room, and he hurdles his way out over the 30 to the 34-yard line. Bottom of the pile was Rob Perugine, who made the tackle. Perugine puts him down on the 34. And there's the scoring drive. 64 yards in only 5 plays, and Gary Wolf gets the touchdown to give his ball club the lead. And now Brophy back to the attack from their own 33. And again, Cody Martin at quarterback. Some good running backs there with Woolery, who has the football right now. Shakes free from a couple of tacklers, but then is ropped up and dropped as he gets about 1.5 yards, 2 yards. So it'll be second down long to go, and making the stop from the defensive end spot, Matt Evans. Evans, 6'3", 230, a senior. Give him 2, call it second down, 8 to go. Broncos were stopped the first time they had the ball, and on 4th down, they faked the punt, got the first down. And then a big pass play from Martin to Casey Paulson set up the touchdown by Eric Milo. Martin looking and throwing out to the sideline, incomplete. Try to hit Paulson again. And coming up in the secondary to make the hit was Bobby Adams.
Good job by Adams. That ball was in the air, and Paulson had a chance to get it on the rebound, and Adams just took him away.
So it's 3rd down coming up, 8 to go. Maybe you heard Tim Sanford say in the pregame that they may throw a little bit more tonight. And there's the pass, and it was a catchable ball, but Adams came in to jar him loose. 3rd down long. Passing situation for Brophy. Martin rolling, looking, and throwing, and it's incomplete. Incomplete. Try to hit Matt Watkins with the pass. Watkins has had some good football games this year. He's had a couple of touchdowns to his credit, but not that time. So the Matador defense holds, and Brophy will have to punt. Our first punt of the football game. Shadow Mountain has rushed for 82 yards already tonight against Brophy. Passed for 40 more, while the Broncos have rushed for about 13 yards so far in the game and thrown for 62. The kick almost blocked. McClutteran got out of the way, and it comes back to about the 34 or 35-yard line, where Shadow Mountain will go to the attack 1st and 10. As that time handling the punt, Pack did the punting, or Pack down on the tackle. As handling the punt that time, Greg Quinn for Shadow Mountain. Ball on the 35, just shy of the 35-yard line. And watch this one again on this punt. Appears as though it's going to be blocked right there, but shows you how deceiving angles can be. 1st and 10. Kinney to throw. He's being rushed. He's going to get wrapped up and dropped for a loss.
strange pass pattern by the Matadors on that play. They had two men very close to one another, within a couple of yards of each other, out on the pass pattern. They had 3 out in total, but 2 almost standing next to one another.
In on the sack was Brent Masieva for Brophy, and the loss goes back to the 28-yard line. It'll be second down, 17 to go. Brophy coming into the football game 5-1 overall, 4-1 in league play, while the Matadors are 3-3 overall, 3-2 in Skyline Region play. Kinney on the option. He'll keep, find some running room, and look at him move. O.A. Kinney finally dropped inside the 20. Casey Paulson, a touchdown-saving tackle. And the Matadors are at it again.
What a marvelous move about 7 yards downfield, and that made all the difference in the play. Kinney faked as if he was going to go outside, then cut back inside, and he was gone.
54 yards on the run by O.A. Kinney. Boy, he ran that to perfection.
Right there's the move, right there. He was going to cut left, then came back inside, and that's the difference in the play.
Cornelia had a shot at him, couldn't get him, and Paulson had to run him down. But not before he got the football inside the 20 to the 17. O.A. Kinney.
Tell you what, the Matadors take this one in for a touchdown. What a shocker we might have here tonight.
The Broncos, of course, going into last week's game. Depends on what poll you look at. There's so many of them around the state. But some polls last week had St. Mary's 1, Brophy 2. Other polls had Westwood 1, St. Mary's 2, Brophy 3. But anyway you look at it, Brophy was in the top 3 teams in the state last week. And really, despite their loss to St. Mary's, didn't drop very far and shouldn't have. They have good talent. But here they're being tested. Kinney with the pitch. And look at the running, that time by Sean Gregg.
And a good downfield block by Sean Marley, number 82.
Sean Gregg having a big night here, too.
Now, the thing is, we talked about the big line for Shadow Mountain, and they are big inside, but most of the grounding tonight is being picked up going off tackle or mainly outside.
Ball's on the 7-yard line at the dark end of the field. 9 minutes to go till halftime, and the Matadors trying to extend their 3-point lead. Sean Gregg cuts it back. He scores! Touchdown, Gregg. Got a great block on the outside and cut it back in.
Block by, that you're referring to, is by 35 McBann. Well, Gregg cut back in nice. Both Gregg and Kinney doing a very good job of showing how they can follow their blocking and cut inside when given the chance.
Boy, this team has looked dynamite tonight, Shadow Mountain. You look at the way they've played tonight and wonder how in the world they've lost 3 football games coming into this one. Pass game for the extra point attempt to try and extend the lead. Clean snap, kick on the way, and it is good.
Point's good.
8:54 to go till halftime, and Shadow Mountain has jumped to a 17-7 lead over favored Brophy.
And what, that's 14 points in the last 4 minutes. Actually, 3 minutes, I guess, for the Matadors. Touchdown at the end of the first quarter, and now a touchdown right here.
Brophy coming into this game had given up 7 points to Tempe, 7 to Moon Valley. They shut out Apollo, gave up 13 to Paradise Valley, 7 to Deer Valley, and the biggest point total against them was a week ago by St. Mary's, who scored 20. The Matadors have already posted 17 points on the board, and we still have a world of time to go in this half, let alone an entire second half of football. O.A. Kinney so far tonight has carried the ball 5 times for 69 yards, while Sean Gregg has carried it 8 times for 64 yards. So between the two of them, they have rushed for 133 yards tonight. And they're in control of this one. The kickoff down the middle of the field. Kicked out in front and finally picked up by Watkins. And Mac Watkins is out over the 20 to about the 22. And the tackle made by Rob Stevenson. First down, Broncos. Trying to get the offense going.
And number 10 for the Brophy Broncos, Cody Martin, still in at quarterback. We have no explanation yet why Hidako, who has started all year for them and performed very well, has not yet taken a snap.
We don't even have any stats on Martin. We know what Hidako's done all year, rushing for 6 touchdowns and throwing for 4 more. But Martin looked impressive on that first scoring drive of Brophy. They're trying to get them rolling here. Down by 10, 17-7. Martin to put it in the air. It's going to be intercepted. Stevenson picks it off, and he is down inside the 20, down inside the 15-yard line. And the Matadors have it in great shape as Stevenson picks off Martin's pass. And the Matadors really juiced up for this one tonight.
Two things. Number 53, Benji Cohen, I believe it was Cohen, was in the face of Martin when he threw the ball. We'll get a look at it right here. Well, a couple of men right there. And watch 44. That's George Zorbas. He throws a block right here that assists the...
And finally, Martin made the tackle. Matadors to the offense. 1st and 10. Sean Gregg tries the left side. Gets maybe a yard or two. Finally wrestled down. Making the stop for Brophy. Noel Hoblet. And there's Tim Sanford. He's got to be concerned right here now. Well, if the Matadors push it in here for a score, it's going to be a long comeback trail for Brophy. They're already down by 10. And remember, even if they don't push it in for a score, they've got a very capable field goal kicker waiting to add 3. Scoring drive by Shadow Mountain, that last one. Back to the attack here. Kinney with a fake and a roll. Now he looks for the open man. A good defensive play. Outstanding defensive play. Ball knocked down by Paulson. As he just got his arm in front of the intended receiver to bat it away. It's 3rd down. Go screen with that one, but couldn't get the ball around the defender coming in who played it well. Watch it here. He looks for his man out of the backfield. Right there, he faked it. And now the pass and a good defensive play. Shadow Mountain, 150 yards rushing in the football game, 190 yards of total offense already. Kinney falls forward for a couple of yards. Brophy really converged quickly on that option and took everything away from Kinney.
Intelligent play by Kinney. He looked as if he had ideas of pitching the ball back when he had a crowd around him, and he decided to hang on to it and take the short yardage rather than give it up. Right there, it looked like he wanted to go and decided it was better to hang on.
Woolery really closed quickly on that one. 27-yard field goal attempt coming up by Basquet, who drilled one earlier from 38 yards. Kick on the way, plenty of distance, and it is good. So Basquet adds 3 more to the scoreboard, and the Matadors lead 20-7 over Brophy.
That is 4 possessions now for the Matadors tonight and 4 scores.
You're right, they've yet to have to punt the football.
And 17 points in the last 5.5 minutes.
6.5 to go in the first half, and Shadow Mountain looking awfully good in this one. Excellent guidance of the offense by O.A. Kinney. Some hard running by Sean Gregg. The defense just picked off Cody Martin's pass a moment ago to set up a field goal. Shadow ate up about 6 minutes of the clock the first time they touched the football and coming away with a field goal. So now Basquet to kick off. So the Broncos being put to the test here tonight. Basquet down the middle it comes. Watkins with the football. Watkins picking his way through out to the 25-yard line, or just shy of it. So Brophy goes to the offensive attack. Millistan in on the tackle the last time. Broncos got to get something going offensively here. Matadors have taken it to them in this first half and lead 20-7. Leonard goes in motion. Big hole for the first man through, and a lot of running room. And look at this, he's kicking free from tackles and dragging the tacklers down the field is Brett Bilal. Good tough run, and Brophy needed that one.
Just a quick opener off the left side, and before you knew it, he was in the secondary and then shook some tackles to get good yardage.
Bilal not a big guy, 5'7", 165. He's a senior. Watch it again. Good hole opened up there. And some good open field running here by Bilal also.
Looked like Tom Rush, number 61, who pulled to throw a block. Trap play to open up the hole.
1st and 10, 43 of Shadow Mountain. Sweeping the side, Eric Milo, who has scored the only touchdown tonight for Brophy. He's down near the 40-yard line.
The number 50, Mike Sueda for Shadow Mountain, ran him down from behind. Kind of tough to block that kind of effort when you have somebody sneaking up from behind to make the tackle.
Gain of about 3 on the play, as Milo carried that last time. Matt Watkins flanked wide near side. There's Shadow Mountain's last scoring drive with a field goal by Basquet to give him a 13-point lead. But Brophy trying to answer right here. Got a big run by Ballard just moments ago, and there he goes again, right up the middle. Brett Ballard all the way down to the 20 of Shadow Mountain. Finally wrapped up and dropped in the secondary by Bobby Adams. But Ballard doing some fine running for Brophy on this drive. With just a quick hitter right up the middle. He's a good runner when he gets in the open field, too, with some good moves. And we're going to get a timeout called on the field right now. Timeout called by Shadow Mountain. Ballard so far, 4 carries in the football game, 55 yards. And, of course, he's eaten up the majority of that on the last 2 carries. 4 minutes, 51 seconds to go, first half. Shadow Mountain leading in this one, 20-7. Next week will be at Chandler High School for the game between Westwood and Chandler in Central Region action. As we wind down this 1988 high school football season, after tonight, only 3 more weeks to play before the playoffs get underway. And we'll be kicking off Phoenix Suns basketball for you on ASPN on November 9th, the home opener when John McLeod brings the Dallas Mavericks to the Coliseum. And we'll be on the air at that one with 7:30 airtime for that ball game, the first of 20 telecasts this year. Again, 15 home games to come your way on ASPN. We'll have 5 road contests as well. New look for the Suns this year. A lot of new faces on the ball club. Of course, the addition of Tom Chambers and the rookies Tim Perry and Dan Marley. Armin Gilliam back again, Jeff Hornacek back, Kevin Johnson and Mark West and company. Right here, Brophy's on the move. At the 20 of Shadow Mountain, and there's Brett Ballard again. He gets maybe a couple. Punches down to about the 18-yard line. And off the bottom of the pile for Shadow Mountain comes Everett King.
That not the same play that he has popped for 2 long gains. On the 2 long gainers, the Bronco line was pulling, and in fact, they had some misdirection with the guard pulling the wrong, or going the opposite way, but not that time.
Bobby Adams it was on that last tackle. So it's a 2nd down and about 8 to go. Cody Martin, Eric Milo, and Milo's to the 15-yard line. So it'll bring up 3rd down and a short 5 for a first down, maybe closer to 4.
Obviously in field goal range for the Broncos, but they don't want to come away from this one with just 3 points. It may be the last time they get their hands on the football here in the first half.
3:55 to go till halftime. Stay with us. Barry Sollenberger joins us at halftime as we discuss happenings around the Valley of the Sun in high school football. Martin leads them up. 3rd down 4. Broncos trailing 20-7. They reverse the handoff. It's fumbled and finally picked up for a big loss. Jim Pack, the man who bobbled the ball but fell on it back at the 20. And
Sure.
so a mix-up there, and they're going to have to try for 3.
And George, I think the play was there. I think but for the mishandling of the football right there, that would have certainly been a first down and probably more.
Cornelia took the initial handoff and then handed to Jim Pack. So the football to be spotted at the 27, called it a 37-yard attempt. Anthony Curry to try the field goal. He's got 4 to his credit this year. On the way, has he got enough distance? Yes, and it is good. 37 yards by Anthony Curry with 2:47 to go till halftime. And Shadow Mountain's lead cut to 10. It's Shadow Mountain 20 and Brophy 10. That is the longest field goal this year by Curry. Earlier this season, he had a 35-yarder in the win over Apollo. So some good kicking tonight by Corey and Basquet. It's 20-10, Shadow Mountain leading. And the Matadors about to get their hands on the football again. Their offense has been in high gear here in the first half, and they've distributed evenly between the run and the pass. Been a good first half so far for O.A. Kinney, for Sean Gregg. Good running by Brett Ballard. Shadow Mountain, 192 yards worth of offense in the first half, 152 on the ground. And Brophy has rushed for 68, has passed for 62. Bouncing kick is finally taken and brought back to about the 30-yard line. Handling the kickoff was Gary Wolf. Wolf scored a touchdown earlier in this game. And they put it down at the 31. First down, Matadors. Second quarter action is Dick McEffrigan on the sidelines with his coaching staff. He's to be happy with the way his ball clubs performed through the first half of this one. Bobby Adams comes wide, near side of the field. Barry McBann, the fullback, fights his way out for a few yards.
George, the last 3 times the Matadors have had the football, they've scored, and each possession scoring under 2 minutes.
It hasn't taken them very long. You remember the first possession, they ate up over 6 minutes of clock, came away with a field goal. But you're right, their other 3 scores, they've put them together quickly. 1:18, 1:48, and 1:34 seconds is all it took them to put points on the board on their last 3 possessions. Sean Marley in the football game. He comes wide to the near side of the field. Option will keep and runs into his own man, fumbles the football. Brophy's got it. Mike Cornelia recovered the fumble as it appeared as though Kinney ran into his own player. And that's what forced the fumble. There's Cornelia. So a big turnaround here and a big break. Watch it again as Kinney starts to roll. Now when he cuts it back right here, you see him run into his own player and he's separated from the ball. So a big turnaround. Brophy's got it on the Shadow Mountain 40. Brett Ballard is dragged down after he got about a yard, and making the stop was Mike Sueda. Clock running, 1:13. Timeout called now on the field. That timeout charged to Brophy. So the coaches come on the field to confer. And there's Curry with the field goal and the scoring drive. 7 plays, 55 yards. And Curry's longest field goal of the year. Well, the Los Angeles Kings and Wayne Gretzky join the ASPN lineup this year. And more Kings hockey coming your way as Gretzky will entertain his former teammates, the Edmonton Oilers, October 25th, 7:15 on ASPN. Then the LA Kings travel to Winnipeg to meet the Jets on the 28th at 6:30, exclusively on ASPN. And nice to have the Los Angeles Kings as part of our lineup. Of course, the other night, Edmonton came away with an 8-6 win over Gretzky and the Oilers up in Edmonton. That man's into this one, Dick McEffrigan. His club has played well. But right here, their defense being called upon because Brophy has just recovered a fumble by Kinney, O.A. Kinney, and there's 1:13 to go. Tim Sanford off the field after conferring with his offense. Again, we have not seen Hidako in the first half. Cody Martin's been directing the offense. Second down, 9 to go. Martin to throw. Incomplete. His arm was hit or the ball was deflected when he let it go. And it's an incomplete pass. It'll bring the third down.
Number 53 again, Cohen in on top of it. And as we said on the interception, which set up the score for Shadow Mountain, I think it was Cohen who was also in on top of him. The ball wasn't deflected, but the arm, if not hit, certainly there was some adjustment that Martin tried to make on that play, and it cost him an interception.
Cohen, a 220-pound senior for Shadow Mountain. It's third down coming up, 9 to go for the Broncos. Remember on that first scoring drive, Martin was perfect, 3 for 3 for 62 yards. And he's going to put it in the air again. And he's going to throw long down the field and overshoot his intended receiver. Looks like Mike Krogh, the intended receiver, down the field.
Interesting call right here. It's 4th down, but only a minute left to go in the first half. Maybe you go for it right here. Figuring your defense, which is, as we said, second best in the league, is good enough to stop Shadow Mountain, or should be good enough to stop Shadow Mountain, although it has not survived the tests or not play well against the tests it has had so far tonight.
They're going to 9. That last intended pass for Urich, not Krogh, misread the number on the uniform. So it's 4th down, and this pass deflected too. It falls incomplete. He tried to hit Urich again, and the man responsible, Big Matt Evans. So with 57 seconds to go in the half, the Matador defense holds and will take over the football.
Well, Tim Sanford, as we said, oddly keeps Shadow Mountain out of scoring range.
So the big deflection by Evans, the incomplete pass, turns the ball over. And the Matadors have it at their own 39. They lead 20-10. They've played an excellent half of football here in the first 24 minutes tonight. Kinney, the quarterback. Sean Gregg still at it, chalking up yardage out to the 46. You got about 7 or so on that play, 7 or 8.
I would have thought that the Matadors might spend a timeout here, or at least move a bit more quickly to try to get the snap off.
Clock running, under 40 seconds to go till halftime. You can see it on the lower right-hand portion of your screen. 7 yards by Gregg on that last carry. He's got it again, and he finds running room, breaks to the outside, and finally knocked down at the 44 of Brophy. Big first half for Gregg. Good-looking runner. Leonard in on the tackle. Timeout called on the field. That stops the clock. 25 seconds to go. We've seen what Basquet can do with his foot here in the first half, so if they do elect to throw the ball and get a completion or two, they'll get in his range. The Bruins of UCLA to visit Tucson to take on the Wildcats of Arizona. You'll see that game on ESPN. October 23rd, 8 p.m. Matter of fact, I'm going to correct that particular graphic because we just received a change on that. That will not be seen on October 23rd at 8 p.m. That'll be seen actually the night that the game is played. So as you're watching this telecast on a Saturday afternoon, that game will be seen tonight on ESPN at 11 o'clock, and the time slot you just saw for the UCLA-Arizona game will be filled by the Arizona State-Washington State game from Pullman. That'll be shown on ESPN October 23rd, 8 p.m. Here's the score of this one. Shadow Mountain 20, Brophy 10. Shadow Mountain with the football at the Brophy 44 with 25 ticks of the clock left here in the first half. Kinney wants to put it up, trying to get free, but he's wrestled down. Gets the pass away to Sean Gregg, and Gregg is dragged down at the 34. Well, he was in the grass, but I guess that's not called in high school football.
And that's why.
Kinney maintained his footing and got the pass away. Shadow Mountain spends another timeout.
You know, those two, Kinney and Gregg, are putting on a show here in the first half. Great efforts by both of them. Maybe this is the best effort of the half. He should have been down a couple of times, and somehow as he's going down to the ground, he turns it into a 10-yard gain for a first down.
Woolery had the first shot at him. And so far in the football, Gregg with 10 rushes in the football game for 81 yards.
Oh, that was a pass reception.
Was a pass reception. They're getting close right now. The ball is at about the 33.
With 14 seconds left at best. 3 plays, maybe only 2 left.
I mentioned to you, Basquet's kicked a 45-yarder and a 48-yarder this year. He's got 2 more tonight. So he's got 6 field goals on the year, and if they can get another 5 or 10 yards, they're definitely within his range. There's only 14 seconds left. Greg Quinn flanked far to the right side of the field. Kinney on a roll. Stops. He's throwing long for the end zone, and it is incomplete. Good defense down there. That was Casey Paulson again. Yes, Paulson's played a good game defensively tonight for Brophy in the secondary. So here comes the field goal unit on 6 seconds left.
George, Kinney was hit as he released the ball, and he is down now on the 35-yard line.
He was trying to get wide that time as he rolled right. And he is down on the field, on his back right now. They can ill afford to lose him, needless to say. He's been outstanding in this first half. O.A. Kinney. So Kinney that time on a roll tried to go for 6. Pass knocked down, and Kinney knocked down on the play. Watch it again. We'll see if we can pick it up where he was hit when he releases the football.
Oh.
Right there. And he was drilled by linebacker Craig Ross pretty solidly. And he's now being tended to down on the field. Shadow Mountain, after this one tonight, travels on the road for their final road game of the year next week. They'll go on the west side of town, visit Moon Valley, then come home and wrap it up with home games against Horizon and Greenway. That's good news as Kinney's up and heads off the field. Basquet on to try and add 3 more points. It'll be a 49-yard attempt, his longest of the year. He's kicked a 48-yarder this year against St. Mary's. 6 seconds left, first half. Shadow Mountain leading by 10, trying to add to the lead. This one will not be close. And that'll be the final play of the first half. So that is it. The end of the first half here at Victory Stadium at Shadow Mountain. A big first half for the Matadors. At the end of the first half, our score: Shadow Mountain 20, Brophy 10. Stay with us. Halftime activity coming up next on the Arizona Sports Programming Network. Hello, everybody. It's halftime of our game tonight between Brophy and Shadow Mountain. Central region, or rather Skyline region football between a couple of teams. Brophy near the top of the heap, Shadow Mountain sitting kind of in the middle. These two football teams have met in the past. It's pretty much been dominated by Brophy, especially since 1982, but there have been some tight ball games in this particular series. Brophy won last year by 10, 30-20. That was a Brophy team that made it all the way to the semifinals of the state championships, you might remember. Of course, Brophy coming off its first loss of the season a week ago at the hands of the Knights of St. Mary's. That always a big rivalry. 10 consecutive years now, St. Mary's has beaten Brophy head-to-head in competition. Joined again by Barry Sollenberger. I know you did not go to the football game last week, Brophy St. Mary's, but let's talk a little bit about that rivalry. We mentioned St. Mary's has dominated. However, they turned it around in the last 10 years. Prior to that, it was Brophy that dominated the series.
Yeah, it's surprising, George, in a rivalry as intense as this, that one team has dominated it for here a decade now. You know, one thing that needs to be cleared up about that rivalry is surprisingly, the majority of all the newspapers in the Valley mentioned that the Brophy-St. Mary's game is one of the oldest football rivalries in the state, when really it's not. It's the complete opposite. It's one of the youngest. Surprisingly, the two schools didn't start playing each other in football until the 1959-60 school year. And more than half of the high schools in Arizona, of their rival games that they have, are older than that one. But even though the schools have been around a long time, Brophy opened up in the 20s and closed during the 30s. St. Mary's reopened up in the late 30s. They did start playing football until 1959. And boy, it's really kind of puzzling. I think, you know, it's such a popular series because you have a large metropolitan city the size of Phoenix, and they're the two most popular and really largest private schools, Catholic schools, so to speak, and that's one reason there's a lot of interest in that, plus the fact that St. Mary's has been so successful on the gridiron in the last 20 years. But I'm still surprised that it's a 10-game winning streak, because usually those rivalries, you know, are evened out better than this has been recently.
Shadow Mountain is a football team that has really been kind of up and down over the years. Last year, we saw Shadow Mountain in a telecast against St. Mary's, in a game that Shadow had won until the final 2.5 minutes of the football game when St. Mary's finally scored. They again this year played St. Mary's very tough. They've really been a streaky type of team. They've played other teams that you would think they would beat or at least handle relatively easy, such as Paradise Valley, and they've been beaten rather handily in a game like that, yet maybe they just tend to get up for the bigger name schools.
Well, that's a problem that a lot of good football programs such as St. Mary's are faced with, is that it's tough for them to be up for every game, but their opponents, when they play them, that's their big game. I recall about 6 or 7 years ago, I believe Shadow Mountain defeated St. Mary's in a playoff game in the first round of the playoffs and knocked them out of the playoffs. But no, Shadow Mountain has given St. Mary's problems down through the years. You're right.
Of course, the Central region winding down now. We have the crossover amongst the Tempe and the Mesa schools. The beginning of the year, the Mesa schools locked horns the first few weeks of the season. Now the crossover is in effect. McClintock's a school in that Central region which could be looking at their first losing season ever.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Carl Kiefer to win his 200th game. You know, he had a shot at being only the 6th Arizona high school coach to win 200 football games during his career. He had 195 wins at McClintock, the only head coach McClintock's had going into this season, but it's going to be real tough for them to win 5 games.
Of course, they've been banged up so badly. I think in last week's game with Westwood, they had 7 starters out. They couldn't have suited up more than about 24 kids, and yet they were very competitive in that game.
You know, it's the most injuries that he's had as a head coach since he's been there, but if you stay in the profession long enough, and he's been there since the mid-20s, seasons like this catch up with you. No matter how good or how strong your program is or how strong a weight program you have, it's a very physical game, and that's going to happen to you. You know, Mesa, there's so many polls in Arizona now.
Right.
There must be more than a half a dozen polls. The Gazette has a poll, the Associated Press has a poll, the Arizona Daily Star in Tucson has a poll, the Tucson Citizen has a poll. I noticed in one of the polls last week that Mesa was ranked with a 3-3 record. I think they're ranked like 10th. And that's justified because their 3 losses have been all pretty close ball games to the 3 other schools in Mesa. It's going to be interesting to see how Mesa finishes. You know, in the past, McClintock, the past couple of years, has been that other school to get that slot, that 4th playoff slot in the Central Division. But I wouldn't be surprised if, I think it would be the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, but George, I think it would be the first time that all 4 of the schools are the 4 Mesa schools, and this is a year that could happen.
Could very well happen. We look over to the metro region, and you got some schools sitting in that region that are undefeated. Saguaro, Scottsdale, yet to suffer a loss. Maryvale, yet to suffer a loss. And a couple of other schools, South Mountain and Trevor Brown, with only 1 loss. Now, Saguaro will come down the stretch of the season having to play their toughest games of the year.
Yeah. Saguaro is still the pride of the Scottsdale school system. That's a school system whose athletic programs have been severely hurt in the last 10 to 15 years for various reasons. One reason being a drop in enrollment. A school like Coronado is down 50% from their enrollment 15 years ago. They had 3,000 students, and now they're down close to being about 1,500, 1,600 students. But you know, the school in the Metro Division that has really surprised everybody, but it really shouldn't be a surprise, I guess, George, because they're always so good in football, because they got a lot of good athletes in the program still, and that's Maryvale. But going into the season, I'm pretty sure Maryvale had 1 returning starter from a 10-1 season last year, and that was a down lineman. And all the other positions are filled in by younger kids or seniors that are new to the starting lineup, so to speak. And like you said, they're having a real good season. They got a quick football team. They're as talented physically and especially at the skill position as South Mountain is this year.
Let's talk about the realignment. And we touched on that in previous shows. And of course, the story came out this week about the realignment. And I guess the biggest news about the realignment affects St. Mary's. They are going to put them in the metro region, which of course takes them away from some pretty good rivalries. We touched on the Brophy one, and I guess St. Mary's has appealed to the AIA to stay in the Skyline.
And, yeah, and I understand that too. Now, I don't know if it's going to work out in their favor or not, but the school down through the years has built a lot of great rivalries. And when they play these schools, they attract great crowds. And the gate receipts at private schools mean a lot more than they do at public schools. Not that they don't mean much at a public school. But private schools need gate receipts such as that to help run their programs. And, you know, Brophy has been a Skyline school with them, and if they're going to take them out of that division and put them in with the Metro Division, if the Metro Division already has 9 or 10 teams, I don't know what they're going to do for non-league games. You know, the problem we have, I think, George, is we're still stuck with 4 major divisions, the South, the Central, the Metro, and the Skyline. And really we need more divisions is what we need in this state, to where all of the coaches and all the schools have an opportunity in the first 2, 3, or maybe even 4 weeks of the season to play non-league games before you get into your league play. But the way it's set up now, they have so few divisions, and all the schools are ganged up, and the divisions are so fat that people start right off with league play that counts from day one. And that's really kind of unfortunate. That's something that needs to be corrected, in my opinion.
I talked to Harold Slemmer last week at the Westwood McClintock game on the sidelines for a good portion of the football game. He seemed to give me the indication that we may very soon be going back to what we saw in years gone by, whereby within the Central, within the Skyline, within the Metro, there are A and B leagues, which will give these schools the opportunity maybe in the first 3 weeks in the season to see a lot of good interregional matchups.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's just a different way of wording it. You can have a division with 2 leagues, or you can just, instead of having 4 divisions, you have 8 divisions. What's the difference? It's just in name only. But without a doubt, that's the way to go. I think it's better. I mean, they do it in college football. You have several non-conference games, hopefully, early in the season to get games under your belt before you go into league play, into the games that count. But the way it's set up, there are a lot of high schools in Arizona right now that from day one, those games count towards league play. And if you get off to a slow start, you could be in trouble and you could be eliminated from the playoffs.
It also affects us, I might add to our viewers, as far as telecasts are concerned. There are some perennial powers in this state where we just simply cannot go and televise for one reason or another, whether the stadium is not adequate, production facilities, it just is not set up for telecast. A school like Trevor Brown, who we have televised in the past, when they've played crossover games with the likes of St. Mary's or McClintock or Chandler at places we can go, would give us more of an opportunity to see more of the schools cross over.
Well, and I think it really, from the fan standpoint, it's better to open the season against non-league competition as well. I thought at the beginning of this season, the 2 most unique games played in the state was the Tucson Amphitheater game up here against Mountain View, and South Point High, South Point Catholic from Tucson, playing up here against St. Mary's. I think it's too bad that in the past 15 years that the state has gotten away from the games of having Phoenix area teams play Tucson area teams at the beginning of the season in non-conference games. Those were really unique, and they drew great crowds because they really attracted good fan interest.
Well, we'd ask our viewers to keep posted on the realignment formulated by the AIA. It was in the newspapers this particular week, and we'll wait and hear what the decision is as far as the St. Mary's appeal to remain in the Skyline rather than be moved to the Metro. That's going to wrap up our halftime show this week. Next week will be at Chandler High School. Boy, Chandler struggling this year under Delvin Schutz. They will play host to a power, Westwood High. That'll be next week. Right now, sit back and enjoy second half action of tonight's game, Brophy and Shadow Mountain.
Skateboard and bike blowout coming to you at the Arizona State Fair. The world's best rider, Gator, Miller, Phillips, Saab, Johnson, Leither, Wilkerson, Hoffman, and Scott.
It's the greatest in the world, truthfully.
See an aerial attack with death-defying maneuvers on an awesome 20-ton steel ram. Giant video and 200,000 watts of lights and sound. Coming Monday, October 24th at 7 p.m. at the Arizona State Fair. Seating on an as-available basis.
Well, the show is really great.
Swash gives you more than the time of day.
American Sports Cavalcade provides the most in-depth coverage of motorsports action on television. TNT monster trucks, motorcycles, NHRA dragsters. There's exciting, explosive, non-stop action every Sunday on American Sports Cavalcade.
Something for all of you.
Catch the excitement of American Sports Cavalcade every Sunday on TNN.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bo Schembecker.
And I'm Jim Brandsteiner. Join us again this year for Michigan Replay. The Wolverines are predicted to have a great year. As a matter of fact, one publication picks Michigan as the #1 team in the country.
Why did you bring that up?
Well, I thought you'd be pleased.
No, it just shows that some people, like your friends in the polls, don't know what they're talking about.
Don't blame me.
Why not?
Because I don't think you're going to be that good.
Why, you...
Back at Shadow Mountain High School, George Allen, Doug Gerlach. There's your halftime score. The Matadors surprising Brophy at the half, 20-10. The Broncos 5-1 coming in, highly ranked. Shadow Mountain coming off a win over Thunderbird a week ago and trying to make it 2 in a row tonight over Brophy. And the offense has looked tremendous for Shadow Mountain here in the first half. Shadow Mountain, the first time they touched the football tonight, got 3 points out of it and consumed over 6 minutes of the clock. And they came away with a 3-0 lead after the first possession. But Brophy came right back. And one of the key points of the comeback by Brophy the first time they touched the football was a fake punt on 4th down, which got them the first down. And then quarterback Cody Martin stepped back and set up their first touchdown with a long pass to wide receiver Casey Paulson. You'll see it right here. As Martin throws the pump fake, now he airs it out, and Paulson is shaken free from the secondary and catches it on the move, and finally is dragged down right near the goal line by Bobby Adams. And then Eric Milo on the next play takes the handoff and goes off the right side. The good hole opened up there, and Milo carries it in for the touchdown, which gave Brophy a 7-3 lead. But not to be outdone, right back came Shadow Mountain. And there's Gary Wolf sweeping the left side and going in, standing up for the touchdown that gave Shadow Mountain the lead right back by a score of 10-7. And then again, they came back with the football. And this time it's Sean Gregg. What a good-looking runner this young man is, as he circles the right side and goes in standing for the touchdown that made it 17-10. And later, Basquet added another field goal to make it a 20-10 football game, and that's the way the first half ended. So Shadow Mountain, you wonder, looking at this football team, Doug Gerlach, how in the world they are 3-3 coming into this game. Their offenses looked unstoppable.
Had a very impressive first half, particularly a span there of about 5.5 minutes where they scored 17 points at the end of the on the last play of the first quarter, and then their first 2 possessions of the second quarter, and almost came away with some points near the end of the first half as well.
Boy, look at that rushing total, 173 yards against what has been a very stingy Brophy defense against the run.
1 turnover for the Matadors, but otherwise they had a chance to score on every one of their possessions in the first half, and on 4 of the other 5 possessions they did score.
There should be a turnover on the part of Brophy too. Rob Stevenson intercepted a pass for Shadow Mountain, which led to a field goal. So the turnovers are even at 1-1. We'll be back to start the second half here at Shadow Mountain. It's 20-10. The Matadors leading. We'll be back in a moment.
Danger, radical, the sludge impact, the skateboard and bike blowout, coming to you at the Arizona State Fair. The world's best rider, Gator, Miller, Phillips, Stahl, Johnson, Leither, Wilkerson, Hoffman, and Scott.
It's the greatest in the world, truthfully.
See an aerial attack with death-defying maneuvers on an awesome 20-ton steel ramp. Giant video and 200,000 watts of lights and sound. Coming Monday, October 24th at 7 p.m. at the Arizona State Fair. Seating on an as-available basis.
Well, the show is really great.
Swash gives you more than the time of day.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Big Tex, Big Bill's little cousin, and this here's my son, Billy Joe Bob. And we're here to tell you that Big Bill's got wheels. Lots of wheels. Custom wheels for cars, trucks, man. Dang near everything. Ain't that right, son? Good-looking boy, isn't he? Why, I've never seen so many wheels in one place, and they're all right here at Big Bill's Deals and Wheels. Tell them about it, Billy Joe Bob. The boy's smart, isn't he? Come on now to Big Bill's Deals and Wheels to see me, Big Tex, my cousin Big Bill, or my son, Billy Joe Bob. And I guarantee you this ain't no bill.
Big Bill's Deals and Wheels.
Every week, Inside Golf brings you the excitement of the Pro Tours and interviews with the players making today's biggest headlines. And Inside Golf helps you improve your game with tips from Dr. Gary Wyron and LPGA Touring Pro Debbie Steinbach. There's colorful feature stories on where to play and contests to win each week. So get into the swing of the action with me, Tom Cummings, for Inside Golf each and every week right here on your favorite station.
Before we start the second half, some individual statistics. Sean Gregg, 10 carries, 81 yards rushing in the first half for Shadow Mountain. O.A. Kinney carried 7 times for 78 yards. Passing, Kinney was 2 for 4 for 52 yards. On the Brophy side, Brett Bilal, the hard-running fullback, 4 carries, 55 yards. He chalked up most of that yardage on a couple of carries. And the quarterback, Cody Martin, 3 for 8 for 62 yards with 1 interception. All 62 of those yards on the opening scoring drive for Brophy. So he gets set to go the final 24 minutes of action here at Shadow Mountain. Can the Matadors sustain it? They lead 20-10. Good kick coming down. They fake the reverse. Matt Watkins keeps the football, and Watkins is out over the 20 to about the 24. Broncos go to work 1st and 10. Well, you look at some of the games Shadow Mountain has played. In the loss to Dobson, they gave up 257 yards rushing and got only 53 themselves against the Mustangs. In the win over Deer Valley, Shadow Mountain rushed for almost 300 yards. They held Deer Valley to only 36 yards rushing. But in the loss to Paradise Valley, different story. They outpassed Paradise Valley but gave up about 200 yards rushing. First down. Leonard goes in motion. Martin to Ballard, first man through. He gets 3. Out to about the 27.
And that's a play that the Broncos popped a couple of times late in the first half for big gains.
Matt Evans in on the stop. In the loss to St. Mary's, Shadow Mountain played a tough football game. They rushed for 167 yards. St. Mary's rushed for 184 yards in that ball game. But Shadow could pass for only 68 yards in that loss to St. Mary's. But they're looking good here tonight. Give you some statistics on Brophy as time permits. Got about 2 on the carry as that time. Tackle made that time by John Burke as the running back that time on the play, Eric Milo. Milo has scored the game's only touchdown for Brophy. Brophy faced with a 3rd down, 4 to go. Opening possession of the second half for the Broncos. Again, Leonard comes in motion. Martin to put it up, and he's got his man Leonard wide open. And Leonard is out over the 35 to the 36, and that's good enough for a first down. They've used that play before as from the secondary, George Zorbas from the corner up to make the stop. They send Leonard in motion, sprint him out of the backfield, and he breaks to the sideline. And Martin finds him with a fine pass. And good enough for first down yardage. Broncos on their own 36. We've played 2 minutes of the 3rd quarter. 20-10, Matadors lead. Martin on a keeper and a lot of running room around the right side. And he's finally wrestled out of bounds by Greg Quinn. But a good run that time by Cody Martin. He's down into Shadow Mountain territory. They'll spot the football at the 49. So Brophy on the move to start this second half. Another look. Good fake. And now that outside wide open. And Ballard leading the blocking around that side.
And also downfield for the Broncos, number 88, Schaefer.
This time they send Leonard in motion to the far sideline and hand it off to Ballard. And Ballard off the left side, dragging would-be tacklers. And is finally wrestled down by the defensive end, Rob Perigine, on that side. But he moves it inside the 45. We got 5 on the carry. It'll be 2nd and 5. 9.5 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Brophy on the move. And Dick McKiffergan hollering out to his defense. Here's Perigine, the big defensive end. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. Double wing formation. They send Leonard in motion. Martin throwing out of the backfield to Leonard, and again, Quinn wrestles him out of bounds down at the 41-yard line. Still shy of a first down by a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down coming up. Again, we have not seen Troy Hidako. There's the last pass. And why, we don't know. Hidako, some very impressive stats coming in. But it's been Martin who's been at the control since the outset tonight. There's Leonard. 3rd and 3 for the Broncos. From the Shadow Mountain 42. Martin rolling. He is going to be dragged down. Good defensive play that time by Benji Cohen, the defensive tackle.
Well, we've called his name out a number of times tonight on both sides of the line. An interesting call by Tim Sanford. It was 3rd and short. They've been running the ball well and yet decided to pass. And not the short pass that has worked well on this drive. He's looking, is Martin, farther downfield, and there's Cohen, who gets just enough time to wrestle him to the ground.
That time they had Pack in the football game, replacing Leonard, and he went in motion. And there's Cohen, who's had a big ball game tonight for the Matadors. Punt is away by Vercauteren. And a heck of a punt. Kicks it in the end zone. So it'll come out to the 21st down for the Matadors. So Brophy appeared to have the offense in gear to start this second half, but suddenly the Matador defense stands up and takes charge. So it's 1st and 10 for Shadow Mountain from their own 20. First time they've touched the football in the second half. Well, we get word now that Troy Hidako is injured. Suffered a hip pointer or a bruise. And he was injured in the St. Mary's game last week. And they're going to keep him out tonight and hopefully get him ready for next week's big game against the Demons of Greenway. So for this night, they'll go with Cody Martin at quarterback. Here it's O.A. Kinney. Kinney hands the ball off to Sean Gregg, and Gregg is right back where he left off in the first half.
Well, what a great effort by number 29, Gregg, for the Matadors.
He got 6 on that carry. He had 81 yards rushing in the first half. He's going for a 100-yard game tonight. We mentioned Gregg earlier this year ran for 172 yards, scored twice against Thunderbird, and ran for 160 yards in the win against Deer Valley, and scored 2 touchdowns in that ball game. Second down, 4 to go. Here he comes again, Sean Gregg. He's out over the 40-yard line.
It's that big Shadow Mountain offensive line that is doing the job. Evans and Sueda, Myers and Cohen and Cajic.
He's out to the 43. Here it is again. And they're going right up the gut against Brophy. And some good blocking on the interior line. "12 carries, 104 yards for Sean Gregg. He's in motion now. Barry McBann, the fullback, and McBann squirts out over the 45-yard line. Up off the bottom of the pile, nose guard, Matt Garson, 6-foot senior. 7 minutes left, third quarter. Shadow Mountain leads by 10, 20-10. If Shadow hangs on and wins this game tonight, boy, it's going to make that Skyline race awfully interesting. You start looking at 4 teams who are going to vie for the playoffs at the end of the year. Second man through is Gregg, and Gregg still fighting for yardage up near midfield. Going to be about 2 or 3 yards shy of a first down when they spot it. It'll bring up third down.
Kinney took a shot at the end of the first half and delivering a pass, and he was down for a moment, came up and ran off the field. But after that play, even when it was over and he was not involved in any contact, you saw him bending over. So maybe he's still feeling the effects of that play that almost knocked him out of the game.
Shadow Mountain over the 200-yard mark rushing already. 202 yards for the game for the Matadors. Kinney fakes, and he's going to be hit and drop. He gets the pitch away to Gregg, and Gregg is trying to get free, and he's going to be dropped for a loss. Dangerous play by the Matadors. That could have resulted in a turnover very easily.
That was not a wise play, and Shadow Mountain ought to be thankful that it resulted in only a 6 or 7 yard loss. It could have easily resulted in a turnover.
Another look. Kinney's going to get trapped right here. And just before he goes down, I don't even know whether his knee hit the ground first.
Sure looked like it.
Sure did from here.
Furthermore, that could have been a forward pass. It was pretty close. In which case it would have been incomplete. Because the ball hit the ground before Gregg picked it up.
But it was a 6-yard loss, so it's 4th down. And the Matadors forced the punt. Nice high punt. They let it bounce. Picked up by Cornelia. And Cornelia knocked out of bounds over near the 20-yard line. So Brophy has it for the second time in this second half. It'll be 1st and 10. Again next week, Westwood and Chandler. Our game on ASPN. O.A. Kinney, who handles the punting chores as well off the field, conferring with Coach Dick McKiffergan. 5 minutes, 12 seconds to go, third period from Shadow Mountain High School, where the Matadors leading the Broncos 20-10.
Go team!
Martin on a keeper, and he gets good yardage. He stepped out of bounds just shy of the 29-yard line.
More and more, it seems, Brophy is trying to deceive the Matadors, going with some misdirection. That time they brought it back to this side of the field and faked the handoff, but Martin kept it around left hand. So more and more, it seems as if the Broncos trying to rely on the deception.
Second down coming up. And 2 or 3 to go. More like 3 for a first down. Hack goes in motion. Right up the middle, Ballard. First down. He's a tough runner. Brett Ballard had a couple of good runs in the first half, and he gets a first down here after the 34. And the tackle is made by Rick Verbalitis. Broncos took the second half kickoff and appeared to be in full gear moving down the field, but then Shadow Mountain rose up to stop them. And then after the Brophy defense stopped Shadow Mountain, now the Broncos get it back. First down 10. Clock running, 4:40 left third quarter. Martin going long, and he's got a man wide open. Derek Schaefer inside the 30 of the Matadors. Derek Schaefer on the bomb from Cody Martin. Big gainer to the 20. Let's see where they mark it down. They say his knee touched at the 27.
Well, the Matadors got burned on a big pass play in the first half, and now here in the second. About
40 yards.
4.5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. They give up another big pass play. It was a big pass play that set up Brophy's first score of the night, that being a touchdown.
That pass was to Casey Paulson. This one's to Derek Schaefer. First and 10. Broncos on the move. Again a fake and a keep by Martin. Gets a good block and cuts it back inside. He's inside the 20 to about the 18, about a yard or two shy of a first down.
Well, what happens on that play is Martin comes around in, and Chavez and Rush are double teaming a man over here. 61 is Rush. 73 is Chavez. They execute the double team on Matt Evans, and that allows Martin to pick up a good yardage.
So a timeout on the field now. Shadow Mountain's defense being tested with 3:55 to go third quarter. And Brophy, which started this drive from about their own 20, have it now at the 18-yard line of Shadow Mountain. Next week down at Chandler to visit with Delvin Schutz and the Wolves of Chandler. They'll be opposed by Jerry Loper and the Westwood Warriors. Boy, the last time we saw Westwood on ASPN, they looked like gangbusters and beating Mountain View handily. And this will be our first look at Chandler this year, going through a horrible time of it down there. Haven't been able to score and have not won a football game yet this year. And that'll be our telecast next week. And then after next week, only 2 more weeks to go. We'll have Mesa McClintock and wrap it up with Moon Valley and St. Mary's for our final telecast of the year. And right here, Brophy trying to push it in and get back within a field goal. Cody Martin in the second half has carried the ball 4 times for 27 yards, and he's been perfect in the air, 3 for 3 for 49 yards. Second down here. There goes Brett Ballard, hard-driving fullback. He's down to the 15-yard line, and that's sufficient for first down yardage. So a first down for Brophy. You know, Ballard only goes 165 pounds, but they'd like to work him right up the middle, and he's a tough runner. So it's first and 10 for the Broncos. Martin leads them up. Again, Hidako will not play tonight. Suffered the injury in the loss last week to St. Mary's. They'll keep him out till next week against Greenway. But Martin's done a good job. Ballard spinning off tacklers and has finally stood up by Verbalitis and driven back after he got down to about the 13-yard line. Gain of a couple. Second down, about 8 to go. We approach the 3-minute mark here in the third period. Brophy's distributed their offense very well. They've rushed for 118 yards so far and passed for 111 more. And right now they're knocking on the door. Leonard goes in motion, far side of the field. Quick handoff up the middle, Eric Milo. And Milo's down to near the 10-yard line. Milo, the only touchdown of the game for Brophy tonight. So it's third down coming up. Clock running, 2.5 to play. Third period. A big opportunity here for Brophy to get right back in the football game and get some momentum on their side as well. Double wing formation. Martin rolling and throwing, and he threw it behind Leonard, the intended receiver, Quinn over covering on the play, but the pass underthrown and thrown a little bit behind Brian Leonard.
And he had somebody on him. Joe Taco, a 5'9" sophomore, was all over Martin to break up that play. And so now the Broncos look as if they're going to go for the field goal. If converted, it would pull them within 3 as we look at the last play and Martin going down.
So it'll be a field goal attempt by Anthony Curry, who kicked one earlier tonight. And he'll try and drill another one through. We'll call this one a 28-yard attempt. Curry certainly has the leg for this one. He's already kicked a 37-yarder, and this one is good again. So the kick by Curry is good. He has a couple of field goals tonight. So does Gary Basquet for Shadow Mountain. And with 2:01 to go in the third quarter, Anthony Curry brings the Broncos to within a touchdown. It's 20-13 in favor of Shadow Mountain. Good football game tonight. Both teams able to move the football. Some excellent running as well. One guy who came into the football game with some pretty impressive statistics, and we have not seen hardly anything of him tonight, is Chris Woolery for Brophy. Woolery, who had 117 yards rushing in the win over Tempe earlier this year, including a 91-yard touchdown run. He also ran for 99 yards against Apollo. Though we haven't seen much of Woolery tonight. Baloud has been the big running back for Brophy tonight. Milo's carried the ball some. Kickoff coming down the field. And it finally is picked up down and around the 10-yard line by Quinn. And Quinn starts back up. Looks for running room and is driven ahead to a near the 30-yard line. And that's where the Matadors will go to work, 1st and 10 with 1:54 to go third quarter. As Dick McKifferkin gives final instructions to O.A. Kinney. Sean Gregg, number 29 for Shadow Mountain. Big night. He's over 100 yards rushing this evening. He has scored a touchdown. The other touchdown was scored by Gary Wolf, and a couple of field goals by Gary Basquet has given the Matadors a 20-13 lead. 2 field goals by Anthony Curry and a touchdown by Eric Milo, accounting for the points on the board by Brophy. Gregg carrying the football, and Gregg gets about 3 off the right side. He's a workhorse. Gregg's size, he is 6 feet tall, weighs 180 pounds. He is a senior. You know, Doug and I were talking before the game, and Doug pointed out, he says, we saw O.A. Kinney here last year in our telecast with St. Mary's. There's the last scoring drive by Brophy, but he wasn't a quarterback. He was a receiver. And he was right. And this year they moved Kinney to the quarterback position, and boy, he's done a job. Gregg again, defense bottles him up. He gets a couple out over the 35 to about the 36. Going to be about 4 yards shy of a first down. It'll bring up a big third down play for the Matadors. Now Brophy's defense starting to assert itself.
It is, and an important play for the Matadors because the Broncos have just scored to pull within a touchdown. And if the Matadors give it back right here, the Broncos should get it in fairly decent field position.
Third down, 4 to go. Final 30 seconds of the third period. The only scoring in this third quarter, the field goal of 28 yards just moments ago by Anthony Curry. Sean Gregg on a sweep to the right side. He is driving. He's got the first down. He's out over the 40 to the 41-yard line.
You know what? This is our 6th game of the year. That's one of the 7th game of the year. One of the most impressive rushing performances we've seen this year is the effort that Gregg has turned in tonight.
He is a tough runner. Clock running. Under 10 seconds to go, third quarter.
It is our 6th game of the year. We got rained out last
week. That's right. You're right.
Week 7 of the season. Week 6.
They will not get the play off. That's the end of the third quarter here at Shadow Mountain with our score. The Matadors of Shadow Mountain 20. The Broncos of Brophy 13. 4th and final quarter coming up.
there were a few proud men. Men of adventure. Men of courage. Men who knew the meaning of honor. There still are. The Marines. We're looking for a few good men.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Brandstatter.
And I'm Bo Schembechler. We'd like you to join us again this year for Michigan Replay.
And as a very special feature this season, we'll have Michigan's new athletic director as a live guest each and every week.
Who made that decision?
The producer. I don't like it either. The new AD's kind of dull, but, you know.
Yeah, you're right. I'll get the AD canceled. It'll be just you and me, Jim.
Great. Does that mean I get to talk more?
No.
We get set to start the fourth quarter, and Doug just pointed out the outstanding performance of Sean Gregg tonight, as evidenced by his 17 carries for 113 yards tonight against a good Brophy defense. There's the score as we start the fourth and final quarter. O.A. Kinney to Sean Gregg, and Gregg high steps it out over the 45, falls to the 46-yard line. He got a good 5 yards on the play. Shadow Mountain, 208 yards rushing, 52 yards passing. The Broncos 121 yards rushing, 111 yards passing through 3 periods of play. You look at what Brophy's done in the past. In the win over Tempe, we mentioned they rushed for 178 yards, held Tempe to only 45 yards. In the win over Apollo, the Broncos ran for 253 yards and allowed only 19 yards rushing to Apollo. Gregg again off the right side, and it's finally wrestled down out near midfield.
That just highlights again the point we made at the beginning of the ball game, that the key thing to watch is whether or not Brophy's defense, which has held 3 opponents to under 55 yards rushing this year, would be able to stop Shadow Mountain's ground game. And to this point, with 11 minutes remaining to go, the Broncos haven't done it.
In the win over Paradise Valley, Brophy rushed for 242 yards, held PV to 54 yards. But tonight it's been Shadow Mountain who's been able to run through Brophy for a tune of over 200 yards. On third down, that's going to be shy of first down yardage, as they had to get the ball down to the 49. And
now a flag thrown.
And there was a late flag thrown on that play, as Gregg carried the football that time, and a late flag was thrown.
Well, there was a back who started towards the line of scrimmage well before the snap.
Ball start. Offense.
This is actually a break for Shadow Mountain.
It is a break. It's a dead ball foul. They have to mark it off, and they get another crack at the down.
Flag should have been thrown immediately. They allowed the play to run. But it's a dead ball foul, so the Matadors get another shot at third down. Otherwise, they would have been in a position where they would have had to kick it away.
So it's 3rd and 7. 10.5 minutes to go in the football game.
I think that's the first penalty against Shadow Mountain tonight, isn't it?
This game has been really penalty-free. Look at this. 2 penalties for 10 yards against Shadow Mountain. 1 penalty, 5 yards against Brophy. So a well-played game. Kinney trying to run the option and nowhere to go. And Brophy's defense closed in a hurry. Craig Ross, the linebacker, smelled it out and dropped Kinney for a loss. So that means it's kicking time for the Matadors. And Brophy's defense has suddenly turned things around here. He'll drop Mike Cornelia back, Will Brophy. They also send an up back there, Derek Schaefer. And O.A. Kinney will kick it away, standing at his own 30-yard line. Steps into it, wobbly kick, will bounce at about the 22. It is fumbled momentarily, picked up by Cornelia, trying to get wide. He won't do it. He's dragged down at the 10-yard line. So Cornelia bobbled the punt, picked it up, and then was trying to look for a wall, but Shadow Mountain covered it very well.
Perhaps a mistake of judgment. Instead of running up to try to catch that ball in the air, he decided to let it hit and play it on the hop. And it really cost the Broncos.
So Brophy starts 90 yards away from the goal line, trailing by 7. And again, it's Cody Martin, who's gone all the way at quarterback tonight, directing the attack. Martin will fake, keep, and roll to the right side, and finds running room. Good cutback. He's out over the 20. He's got a first down.
It may come back. We've got a flag down at the 10-yard line.
Linebacker Mike Sueda finally dragged him down, but there is a flag down. Seems like just when we talk about a game being penalty-free, we'll start seeing some flags drop. And this is a big one. Holding call against the Broncos nullifies the 11-yard run by Martin. And that'll set him back to the 5-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 15.
You know, the thing is, Brophy apparently has found a play that's working without too much trouble. That's that fake that Martin executes and then sweeps to the right side. And the Matadors here in the second half, they didn't really see it in the first half, but have yet to figure it out here in the second half.
They've used it about 4 or 5 times, have Brophy, in this second half, and it's worked for good yardage. 1st and 15 from their own 5. Brophy with the ball, trailing by 7. First man through Baloud. And he's wrapped up and dropped. He got a couple out to the 7 or 8 yard line. It'll be 2nd down and long. Keep an eye on that clock as best we can for you from here on out. 8:40 to go in the game. Clock running. Matadors led at the half, 20-10. The only scoring in this second half, a 28-yard field goal by Anthony Curry of Brophy in the 3rd period. Martin rolls, keeps, cuts it back, and is hit and dropped. The first man to make contact with him was Rob Perigine, the defensive end. He spun off of him and then got out to about the 10-yard line, 10 or 11. It's 3rd down. Remember, they have to get out to the 20-yard line for a first down.
And the question is, if you're Brophy, do you risk putting the ball in the air this far back in your own territory?
They need 9 for a first down. And with the exception of the one interception by Stevenson of Shadow Mountain, Martin's thrown the ball pretty well tonight. We'll see what he does here on 3rd and 9. He gets it away, and he's going long, and he's got a man downfield, and he overshoots him. Trying to hit Chris Woolery, who was out there up near the midfield stripe.
And Verbalitis, and they're pinned back deep in their own territory, so the Matadors ought to take over inside Bronco territory after the play is over.
Tim Sanford has called on his defense in the second half to hold, and they have done just that. And they're going to have their backs cut out again for the wall. That one was almost blocked. I don't even know if it was deflected. It bounces at the 30, goes out of bounds.
You know, they're almost in field goal range before they take a snap here on this possession.
A big rush put on the kicker that time by Shadow Mountain, and a poor kick that goes out of bounds at the 30-yard line. 19 yards on that punt. Here it is again.
I'm not sure how he got it away.
I don't either. Vercauteren kicks it there, and you see the defender right in on top of him.
Well, he was trying to be careful, and he went behind him, stuck out an arm, hoping that he wouldn't touch him and maybe deflect it. If he had gone after the ball, he might have been able to block it, but he didn't want to risk the penalty.
So the Matadors in good shape, leading by 7. 7.5 to go in the game, and they have it at the Brophy 30. Kinney fakes, he's throwing, he's going for the end zone, and he overshoots his intended receiver, Verbalitis, down at the goal line. Well, we've seen Basquet. He's got a strong leg, and he's kicked 2 of them through tonight. If they can put at least 3 more on the board on this possession,
it really changes all kinds of things as far as Brophy is concerned when the Broncos get the football. Because right now, they are within a touchdown of tying it, or if they execute a 2-point conversion, winning the football game. But if the Matadors are able to put 3 points on the board, at least 3 points on this possession, then it really changes things as far as Brophy's concerned.
Sean Marley's in the football game, and he splits wide to the far side of the field. 2nd down, 10 to go. Greg drives down and near the 25-yard line, dragged down. It'll be 3rd down coming up, and about 6 to go. They are in range already. They'll put the ball back. You say his knee went down on the 27.
Here in the second half, on long yardage situations, the Matadors have tended to try to run the option play, get Kinney outside, or have him pitch it, but not with very much success.
Jeff Pruitt in the football game as Dick McKiffergan shuttles in his wide receivers with the play. 3rd down, about 7 to go. Greg gets maybe to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard, certainly no more than that. And then on the tackle, the linebacker, Noel Hoblet. That's going to be 4th down coming up, and here comes Basquet in.
Well, about the only thing the Matadors accomplished in that play was that Basquet will now have a shot at the upright straight on, or more or less straight on.
So he is in there now. He's already kicked 2 tonight. They'll put the football down on the 34. It's a 44-yard attempt. It's down. The kick is on the way. It has got the distance, and it is no good. He missed it wide to the left side.
Kick is no good.
He had enough distance, but it was wide left, and Brophy dodges a bullet with 6:07 to go.
And how important that is, only time will tell, but that really could have almost put the game out of reach as far as Broncos were concerned.
See it from that angle, drifting off to the left side. And Brophy gets the football back on the 20, and Basquet not happy with the outcome. Well, now the Shadow Mountain defense sees what they can do about holding Brophy. Cody Martin leading the offensive attack for the Broncos. Sweeping is Woolery. And Woolery, good yardage out to about the 35 or 36. They say went out on the 36-yard line, or the 26-yard line. He got 6 on the play. It'll be 2nd down, 4 to go. Haven't seen much of Woolery tonight.
No.
And he's had some big games in the past. Impressed with Brett Ballard tonight. Hard-running fullback for the Broncos. Woolery only 2 carries tonight for 8 yards. Again, Martin on a keeper. Cuts it back. He's close to the 1st down.
I think he has the 1st down. The thing is, if he had stayed outside, he may have been able to pick up more yardage than he did. For the first time tonight, running that play, he decided to cut back inside, and there were some Matadors running down the line to catch him.
They spot it right on the 30, 1st down.
But again, the Matadors are going the wrong way on that play, and the Broncos are getting their line out in front, and that play is really there.
Troy Hidako not playing tonight. When he plays, he's a real threat to keep the football and run. Martin tonight, 34 yards in the game, rushing on 6 carries. 1st and 10 Broncos. Canelia, good tackle. He's hit right at about the line of scrimmage and goes no further. Good stop by John Paul Thorne, who came up and really drilled him. Watch a good tackle right here. Maybe it wasn't Thorne. It was the linebacker, Jeff Kloppenstein, who I think they announced as the homecoming king at halftime. Homecoming last week rained out here, but they had a little brief ceremony at halftime at Shadow Mountain tonight. 2nd down, 10 to go. Martin drops it out. Incomplete. Almost intercepted. Kloppenstein again on the defense, guarding Ballard and almost picking the ball off was the linebacker Mike Sueda. Watch this one again.
But while this is going on, Derek Schaefer is running down the sideline, and he's open deep.
Good coverage right there. Now look at the ball's free in the air, and Sueda almost got in there before it hit the ground. 3rd down, 10 to go. Broncos have to get to their own 40 for a 1st down. 4 minutes, 51 seconds left in the game. Matadors holding on to a 20-13 lead.
I don't know.
Martin looking, dropping the screen off to Brett Ballard. And Ballard is going to be dragged down shy of a 1st down at about the 34-yard line. It's going to be 4th down for Brophy.
Just an outstanding effort by number 77 for Shadow Mountain. That's Rob Perigine, who ran him down from behind. And that's what you got to do. The play is out ahead of you, and it's one of those situations where you could easily just stand there and watch it. And he decided to keep going.
Good play
and
by
here he
Martin.
comes.
He waited till the last minute to get that pass away, but you're right. Perigine closed and made the stop. So it's punting time for Carter in the kick. The last time he punted, he got only 19 yards on the kick. This time gets it away. Bounces at the 41 and takes a backward bounce and will be killed on the 41. It hit one of the Brophy players at the 41. I want to see where they mark this football. They're going to mark it at the 38. That's a terrible spot on that ball. If we have a replay, you'll see that ball bounce and hit a Brophy player on the 41. Now, Bob Seetsema saw what happened. Good call by Seetsema, and he'll move the football up to the 41. That ball bounced up and hit a player. Watch it again. You'll see the bounce. Now it's going to come back. Bounce again, and right there it comes back and hits a Brophy player. But Seetsema wisely saw it and spotted the football properly. Matadors have it. 1st and 10. Pitch back. Sean Gregg. Gregg gets a yard or so. Forced out of bounds at the 42 or 3. That's going to stop the clock, too. Now, if you're Shadow Mountain, you don't want to run wide and get out of bounds. You want that clock to keep running. Because the clock's on your side. 3:39 to go. Matadors 7-point lead. They have the ball. Stay with us after the game. We'll visit with the winning coach. Will it be Dick McKiffrigan or will it be Tim Sanford? We'll know after the next 3:39. Well, Brophy's really tightened up the total offense picture, as you see. Out to the 45-yard line goes Barry McBand. Remember, at one time, Shadow Mountain had a pretty good lead in total offense, but Brophy has done the job here in the second half defensively. 3rd down coming up, 6 to go. We approach the 3-minute mark left in this game. So you got to figure Brophy's going to get the football maybe one more time. That's it. 3rd and 6. We'll see if Shadow Mountain keeps it on the ground. No, Kinney's going to put it in the air. Throws, and he overshoots his man. He had 2 receivers in the same area. He had Bobby Adams and Greg Quinn over in the same area together and overshot them. That not only forces a 4th down, but it stops the clock with 2:56 to go in the game. And Kinney will have to punt. Cornelia back at his own 20. So Brophy's going to get it back for one final shot. Boy, this brings back memories of our telecast here last year against St. Mary's when Shadow had the game won. Bad snap. Kinney picks it up and gets the kick away. And kicks it away from Cornelia. Look at the roll. Inside the 10, inside the 5, down on the 1. How about that? Kinney kicked it away from Cornelia. 53 yards on the punt by O.A. Kinney. He wisely kicked it away from Cornelia, and once it got by Cornelia, he elected to let it roll. First is a bad snap. Kinney took care of that. And Cornelia has it go by him, and now he decides to let it roll, and the Matadors down it at the 1. What a big play. Brophy 99 yards away from the tying score. Here they go. This should be their final possession of the football game. We'll see what they do with it. It's crunch time. Martin will throw out of his own end zone, and he's got his man. Pass complete to Woolery, dragged down by Quinn. 1st down. So Cody Martin completes the pass for 20 yards. And for the time being, gets the Broncos out of a hole. Another look. Woolery crossing the middle. Clock running again. 2:10 to go in the game. There you see the time. Brophy favored in this one, trailing by 7. Martin throws, and he's complete again out over the 30. That's another 1st down. Eric Milo on the receiving end. Dragged down. 1st and 10 Broncos. They're going to huddle quickly. They're going to go to the line of scrimmage with no huddle. So Martin trying to pull this one out in the final minute or two. Double wing formation for the Broncos. Martin throws again. It is complete. Good catch. He juggled it and held on. Derek Schaefer, no, Watson, or Watkins on the receiving end. Matt Watkins made the catch, dragged down by Bobby Adams, and a timeout called by Brophy with 1 minute 30 seconds to go in the football game. And Brophy took over on their own 1. They have moved it out to their own 39. Here's this last pass. Watkins hanging on, and Adams drags him down. I'd like to thank the principals at both schools. At Shadow Mountain High School, Dr. Bill Brukowski. And at Brophy Prep, the principal, Father Francis Stigler. There's Dick McIffergan, the head coach. We thank Dick for all of his help and cooperation this week. And the head coach at Brophy, Tim Sanford. And also to the fine athletic directors of these two schools, Craig Anderson here at Shadow Mountain High School, and Don Schmidley at Brophy Prep. Our thanks to one and all for their help and cooperation. Our second year in a row we visited here at Shadow Mountain. And fine hospitality shown the ASPN crew, we might add. Cody Martin in the ball game, 10 of 17 for 152 yards. And he's been intercepted once. And he's trying to move the Broncos down the field right here. Remember, they took over at their own 1 minute and a half to go in the game. Broncos at their own 39. Martin being rushed. He gets it away as he's wrapped up, and it's intercepted. Rob Stevenson, his second interception of the night. And Stevenson is inside the 25, down to the 20-yard line, and that should do it. Cody Martin was under tremendous pressure, and he got it away with a player hanging all over him, and that man, Rob Stevenson, has picked off 2 passes tonight. None bigger than that one. A 30-yard return by Stevenson after the interception. And there's the pickoff, right at midfield. And he brings it back to the 20-yard line. And now the Matadors leading by 7. Minute to go in the game. And you should just see Kinney fall on the ball. He'll hand it to Greg. Greg up the middle. Dragged down near the 15-yard line. Chris Woolery to tackle. Timeout on the field. There's Rob Stevenson. He has picked off 2 passes tonight. His interception in the first half set up a field goal by Basquet. And he may have just turned out the lights for Brophy with that last interception. What a great effort by Shadow Mountain tonight. You know they came in as a pretty heavy underdog, but boy, they have risen to the occasion this evening. Sean Gregg, 23 carries, 131 yards tonight. The team has rushed for 227 yards against what has been a very tough Brophy defense this year. So a heck of a job by Dick McIffergan, Craig Anderson, the entire coaching staff for Shadow Mountain. They had this club up and ready to go tonight. Brophy's got to regroup now. This is going to be their second consecutive loss, and they're looking at Greenway next week, and that will be no easy task. Shadow Mountain goes on the road over to Moon Valley next week. Final 52 seconds of this game. Greg again, just trying to hold on to the football, down to the 13-yard line. Clock stopped again. Timeout called by Brophy, and I think that's their last one. I don't think they can stop the clock anymore. 47 seconds on the clock. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this one on ASPN tonight. 20-13 our score. The only points of the entire second half, a field goal by Anthony Curry. That's been it. And there you see Craig Anderson, who handles the defense for this Shadow Mountain team. He's got to be proud of the effort put forth by his youngsters tonight. A potent Brophy offense came into this game. They had racked up some sizable numbers offensively, but tonight, a good effort by the Shadow defense. And they're 47 seconds away from seeing their record go to 4-3 overall. More importantly, 4-2 in league play. And they are still very, very much in the playoff hunt. Remember, 4 teams from each region make it. Third down. Greg straight up the middle. Stood up at the 10. But they can't stop the clock anymore. Well, they're going to stop it for an official measurement for a first down. So they'll measure for a first down. Remember, they started at their own 20. Oh, it's going to be close. I'm trying to get the field glasses down there to see. And it is going to be tight on this measurement. They'll stretch the chains and you can get a clear look at it. They put it down. And it's a first down, Shadow. Oh, was that close? That was a close call. First down, and that should be the ball game. 37 seconds left. Shadow Mountain tonight, 284 yards offensively. Brophy, 290 yards. How much closer can you get? 232 yards rushing for Shadow Mountain. And they held a good Brophy running team to 138 yards on the ground tonight. First down. Maybe the last snap of the game. We'll see. O.A. Kinney goes to one knee. And they can't stop it. That's it. Shadow Mountain has upset Brophy here tonight. Dick McIffergan gets a big win. And the crowd here at Shadow, look at McIffergan. Big win for that man and a big win for this program. Shadow Mountain upsets Brophy. Final score, Shadow Mountain 20, Brophy Prep 13. Stay with us now. When we come back, we're going to visit with the head coach of Shadow Mountain, Dick McIffergan. But for now, the Matadors have beaten the Broncos 20-13. We'll be right back.
Radical. The Slash Impact Tour. The skateboard and bike blowout coming to you at the Arizona State Fair. The world's best rider, Gator, Miller, Phillips, Staub, Johnson, Leiter, Wilkerson, Hoffman, and Scott.
It's the greatest in the world, truthfully.
See an aerial attack with death-defying maneuvers on an awesome 20-ton steel ram. Giant video and 200,000 watts of lights and sound. Coming Monday, October 24th at 7 p.m. at the Arizona State Fair. Seating on an as-available basis.
Well, that the show is really great.
Swash gives you more than the time of day.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bo Schembechler.
And I'm Jim Brandstatter. Bo and I would like you to join us again this year for Michigan Replay.
The Big Ten will be as tough as I've ever seen it. But we will contend for the title, and you can come along with us each week on Michigan Replay.
With Notre Dame and defending national champ Miami on the non-conference schedule, the Wolverines will be tested early, and we'll have the inside story on each game each week.
So join us and get the inside story on Michigan football on Michigan Replay.
Hello, buddy. I'm Carl Foster. Join me each week for Inside World Tennis, the weekly fast-paced magazine talk show all about the world of tennis, both on and off the court. Improve your game from our instructional staff, Spike Gurney, Master Professional, Wendy Turnbull, Touring Pro, and Dr. Jack Roffel. Behind-the-scenes features from the local amateur and professional tournaments, as well as equipment insights, tennis fashions, a USPTA and Junior Player of the Week. It's all to come each week on Inside World Tennis. Don't miss it.
We're back here again at Shadow Mountain High School. Heck of a football game in Skyline Region action. Shadow Mountain beating Brophy 20-13. And for Dick McIffergan's got to be a big win, as Dick came into this football game knowing full well he had to get a win tonight to stay in contention for playoff berth in this Skyline region. He got it. A great effort by Sean Gregg and the defense. Let's go down and meet Coach Dick McIffergan with Doug Gerlach.
Congratulations. That was a third-ranked team in the state you just knocked off. Was this your best effort of the year?
Without question. Best effort in a long time. Kids played well, and yes.
You got 17 points there in a span of about 5.5 minutes, end of the first period, beginning of the second period. Had you been able to, anything comparable to that in a big ball game for you since you've been here at Shadow Mountain?
No. You know, we jump out quick, and as we've done in the past, and then we get complacent. But the kids played well. I'm pleased. Coach, they lost their starting quarterback, and that hurt them tremendously.
You got an outstanding effort from Kinney, an outstanding effort from Gregg. Is that the kind of year they've been having?
Both those young men have had that all year, and they keep running that way. We'll be all right, we hope.
But your line, you have some players that go both ways. How important was the play of those men up front, both offensively and defensively, to your effort tonight?
Oh, extremely important. Mike Sueda, Matt Evans, those two young men in particular play both ways, and without question they get tired, but they rise, you know, they come up. They're all right.
We're going to, well, though we can't see it down here, we're going to show a replay of that interception at the end of the ball game. Brophy is marching, and they're starting to move out. What was going through your mind at the time?
Oh, we can't get beat deep, and they throw the out so well, and then they out and up. We were scared.
Dick, what does this mean? Now, you've got 3 games left this year. You're 4-3. You're in the thick of the race for the playoffs. What does this mean as far as the team's confidence going into those last 3 bowl games? It's got to be a help, right?
Oh, without question. We play Moon Valley next week, and as you know, they're tough. They're getting back at full strength. Brown is running well. This is just very much a positive influence for our ball club.
Dick, we're delighted we were out here to watch it. A thrilling ball game. Congratulations to you and your ball club again, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Head coach Dick McGiffergan of the winning Shadow Mountain Matadors. Back up to you, George.
Heck of a football game, and McGiffergan, you heard him there. I think he was just so happy he was almost speechless down there on the field. His ball club really put up an effort tonight and come away with a 20-13 win. For Brophy now, this is their 2nd consecutive loss. They were beaten a week ago 20-14 by St. Mary's. You wonder how much that football game took out of this team. And laying ahead next week and waiting for the Broncos, the Demons of Greenway High School. They're another team ranked in the top 10. But no picnic for Shadow Mountain next week either. They have to go on the road for their final road contest of the year against Moon Valley. They'll close it out at home against Horizon and Greenway. After the game with Greenway next week, Brophy closes out against Thunderbird and Horizon. There are your final stats tonight. The first down's barely even, but the rushing yardage really took its toll. The defense of Shadow Mountain holding a good Brophy team to 138 while rushing for over 230 themselves. I want to tip my hat to Cody Martin. Here's a youngster we knew nothing about coming into this game. We expected to see Troy Hidako. Hidako had a brilliant year for Brophy all season, suffered a hip point or a bruise again when I lost to St. Mary's last week. They had to go with Cody Martin tonight, and he performed, I thought, exceptionally well to be thrust into a starting situation. Did a heck of a job. And Martin for Brophy tonight, 10 of 13 for 100, or rather 10 of 18 for 152 yards. He suffered a couple of interceptions, but I thought he threw the ball pretty darn well tonight. He also ran the ball 6 times for 34 yards, but overshadowed by the great effort of Sean Gregg, who ran for 133 yards on 24 carries. Tough-looking runner. And the quarterback, O.A. Kinney, he carried 8 times for 77 yards, and he completed a couple of passes for 52 yards as well. So a good effort by both ball clubs, but boy, a big win here for Shadow Mountain. Our next telecast on ASPN, 1 week from today, the Chandler Wolves will host the Warriors of Westwood High. Remember, Westwood in some of the polls ranked number 1 in the state. And Westwood will be at Chandler next week. We'll visit with Jerry Loper and Delvin Schutz and see those 2 ball clubs in action. That'll be our first visit to Chandler in a couple of years. But for tonight, a good crowd looked on. They saw a heck of a football game. We hope you enjoyed it on ASPN as the Matadors of Shadow Mountain upset the Broncos of Brophy Prep 20-13. Our thanks to our statistician Dale Mesmer, who as usual, another outstanding job keeping stats tonight. And for Doug Gerlach, this is George Allen, our entire crew. Thanks for watching. So long, everybody.